Here we go.
It's showtime, folks!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number six of the Wrestling Supershow podcast. I'm your host, Joey Roberts, and as always, I've got the man who gave Coco Beware his bird, James Tingstrom, and we are the self-proclaimed tag team champions of the podcast universe. James, how you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, not too bad. All right. Now, I'm going to start by saying that this episode's going to be a little bit different, mainly because we aren't going to be covering Raw. We covered that on our last podcast, episode 5, WrestleMania Fallout. Go check it out if you haven't listened to that one. So today, we're going to be going over all the other stuff that happened this week. NXT, Lucha, Ring of Honor, SmackDown. We're also going to introduce another segment towards the end of the show where we debate between two things that happened, and we decide which one we would want to change and why, but we'll explain more of that when it comes to time. Now, I want to take this time to give my co-host the floor in the second installment of James. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. I have been living a lie as of late. I have to get something off my chest, and I hope you will all be understanding. I have to come out as a Young Bucks fan.
It's about damn time.
When it started very innocently, I didn't like their gimmick, and I kind of crapped on them like everybody else did, and then I hardcore hated them. But I've kept an open, and Matt and Nick Jackson, if you ever listen to this, which you probably will not, I hope you do, and Kenny, hi Kenny Omega.
Hi.
I kept an open mind. You guys won me over, and I gotta say, there's still some things I take issue with here and there, but I'm not a professional wrestler. I'm not in the business, so that's not for me to judge. You guys are all right by me. Welcome to the club. And another thing I would like to say, in addition to this wonderful podcast that has award-winning, that has never won any awards, thanks Stone Cold, you need to be listening to the Stone Cold podcast and the Colt Cabana podcast in general, but specifically, please go listen to Colt Cabana's conversation with Jay Lethal from about a month ago this time.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yes, it very much was. And the Stone Cold Unleashed podcast with Big Cass and Enzo from this past week. I'm about 3/4 of the way through that episode, and I gotta say, I'm really a bigger fan of Cass and Enzo than I ever was, just because I feel like I know more about them as people, not just professional wrestlers. And it's a good conversation, and it's worth listening to.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely one that I'm probably going to be checking out sometime this week while I'm at work.
But the Jay Lethal episode was really cool. He does talk about himself getting let go from Ring of Honor. Kind of sounds like it was Vince Russo's fault. And then Vince Russo called him and was like, bro, it wasn't me, bro. Bro, it wasn't me. I don't... Bro, what? Shut up, motherfucker. You own up to the fact that you let Jay Lethal go.
Yeah.
And just own up to it. Made me like Jay Lethal more and hate Vince Russo even more.
Yeah. Speaking of podcasts, there's one that I do listen to. I don't know if you listen to it. The Sam Roberts wrestling podcast. Most of his stuff is pretty good. But he interviewed, I want to say this past weekend during WrestleMania, he interviewed AJ Styles, and he asked him, you know, you wrestled in TNA for, 10, 12, or for about 12 years. how did you feel leaving there and then going to New Japan? And he's like, and AJ, he said, when I left TNA, I didn't shed a single tear, and I was there for 12 years. But when I left New Japan, I was only there for about 2 years. He said whenever I left TNA, or whenever I left New Japan, he cried so much because he enjoyed New Japan way more than he ever did TNA. And I was just like, well, that speaks volumes about that company.
Yeah, it's like he was their top guy for the longest time.
Basically from day one.
He got buried a few different times where they would just push him to the side and go with like Sting or Jeff Jarrett or whatever. But he was always the mainstay of all the people who ever came in to that company. And then they just kind of, they crapped on him. They lowballed him financially, which, I mean, you can't really blame them because if I was hard up for cash, I'd try to lowball everybody too. But then again, you can't blame him for walking away because he's got a wife and 3 kids, and you gotta put bread on the table, especially when you're on the hook for travel and everything, and they don't pay for any of your traveling.
Yep. And that again, that goes to why Eric Young and Bobby Roode left, because they're 2 of the top guys. They wanted more money. TNA said no, so he's like, all right.
Eric Young dared TNA to let him go, and they said, fine, go. I mean, he wanted more money, and he sees these guys who aren't as much of a – I mean, he's not really a household name per se. Like, if you put him up against, like, John Cena, people probably don't know who Eric Young is because he's not mainstream like a lot of other guys could be.
Yeah, unless you're a hardcore TNA mark.
But he's been there since 2003, 2004. He's done everything the company's asked him to do. Every shitty gimmick they've put on him, he's taken it, and he's done well for it.
He was one of the original members of Team Canada.
He has this...
with Bobby Roode.
I think it's National Geographic or the Travel Channel. He has some television show he hosts. I don't know, honestly don't know much about it, but again, he's out there putting over the company, and he's out there in the public eye, and you want to give Will Ospreay and, guys like that who just came into the company better deals than him, or you want to give Drew Galloway a better deal? Okay, fine. Maybe Drew Galloway, you can justify giving him more money, but not from a guy who's been there for 12, 14 years, who give that guy a break and give the guy the respect he's due. He's basically a legacy in your company.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. But, yeah. Do you have anything else that you would like to say before we move on?
Oh, I got a hell of a thing to say, but that's going to be saved for the Lucha segment.
All right. Well, before we get to there, let's go through some news and rumors, and there's quite a bit. First, I just read this before we started recording. Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson are expected to be backstage tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw in LA. Granted, they were backstage at Mania, Raw, and SmackDown of last week. So who knows if they're going to debut or not.
Gotta pay your dues, brother. Gotta pay your dues.
Yeah. Well, if it were up to, I would. This is what I would love. I would love to see them wait to debut until until Payback, and either help AJ win the belt, which I doubt will happen, or come out after the match to take out Reigns to kind of set up like the WWE's version of the Bullet Club, like do their. And then at a later date, maybe like SummerSlam, bring in Finn Balor. I think either way, they're going to get cheers.
Question.
I mean, go on.
The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega now call themselves the Elite. Mm-hmm. They started off as the Elite of the Bullet Club because the rest of the guys were pretty much scrubs. After Gallows and Anderson and AJ left, the guys left over pretty much weren't good. Like the NWOB team, essentially.
Oh, yeah. I was... later on, when I talk about the New Japan, Tama Tonga and Camacho, who now goes by Tamaroa because they're like legit brothers. Yeah. They now go by the Gorillas of Destiny.
Nice.
Yeah, they have the same face paint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if they're still part of the Bullet Club. I know Bad Luck Fale.
Does the Bullet Club B team still call itself the Bullet Club, or have they just dropped that and then?
No, they still call themselves the Bullet Club.
So they're not going to use Bullet Club in WWE. They're probably going to just
I think
use
that's why they patented the phrase bulletproof.
Okay.
That way they could be like, oh well, they could come in and be like, well, we're bulletproof.
I heard
Kind
I heard like rumor or speculation, maybe just even people talking that possibly Bullet Club isn't even trademarked by New Japan. WWE could like swoop in and steal the name.
Yeah, I heard.
I haven't heard anything concrete on that in like 2 months. So knowing, because what I figured was the Elite was like we're no longer the Bullet Club is basically a dead concept because so many guys have left that were the like core of the club that Omega and the Bucks were just like, well, we're the Elite now. Not even just the Elite of the Bullet. We're just the Elite, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of figured they were going to drop the Bullet Club name, but if they're still using it, then they're not going to use that name in WWE at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I would like for them to hold off and either help AJ win or at least take out Reigns after the match at Payback. And I did hear a rumor. I mean, granted, I don't know if it's fan speculation or if it's like a legit rumor that was like, or a legit idea that was tossed around. But somewhere down the line, I heard that they want to do their version of the Bullet Club versus the Shield.
Did you see that meme? It's not even really a meme going around. It was just like
the picture.
Yes, it was AJ and the Bullet Club.
Yeah, AJ Gallows and Anderson.
The Shield.
And
there was
Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns.
Retweet if you want to see this at SummerSlam. I was like, can I retweet multiple times?
Yeah, exactly. Start making accounts
just to retweet. Yes, exactly.
Oh, but yeah, that would be cool to see.
I mean, it's not going to happen only because they're not going to reunite the Shield this soon. They're probably
because
at the latest it would be later this year possibly, but I don't think they'll even do it until 2017 at some point.
Yeah, I don't see it happening until like next year.
Because I mean, just because Seth Rollins won't be back until probably summer. Roman Reigns, they're still going to push him
July.
as the champion, and they're going to want to get all the blood out of that turnip that they can possibly squeeze out of it.
And then Ambrose is the most over person in the...
But they're all going to be babyfaces once they get back together. So they're not going to be booed unless they murder like a small child or they step on like AJ Styles' skull. No one's going to boo them. They're going to get cheered no matter who they go up against.
Yeah.
Which may be the only way to get Roman Reigns over as a face right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, hey,
that is true.
Maybe they do it sooner rather than later.
This coming Monday. Be on the lookout, folks. Also, rumors are heating up about Ricochet. He's told organizations that he's not taking any dates after June, conveniently around the same time that the Cruiserweight Series starts up. Now, I don't think he's going to be in it because of his Lucha Underground contract. But I think eventually he is NXT bound.
I did read something online that the way his contract is written, he can't debut for another company until season 3 is finished airing, which is 2017.
Then there's a 90-day like no compete clause or something. So he wouldn't even be. It would be like almost 2018 before he could even.
I did read that the only reason WWE can enforce those non-compete clauses is because they pay you to stay home for 90 days. You're technically still being paid, so they can enforce it. Lucha does not pay, so they could possibly. Basically, he could possibly not have to abide by that 90-day non-compete clause. But even then, if it's already not aired, but it's already recorded the third season, he could still leave early anyway. I mean, like, I don't know if they don't have a legal leg to stand on other than whatever the contract states, and the way it's written, it's not favorable for Lucha from what I've heard.
Yeah, and like I said last week, they're from what I read online, kind of spoilery, not really. I mean, there is a way that he can be, or that he has been, or something's happened to Prince Puma that he could easily be written off. Whether that, either he can just leave or, classic Lucha Underground, someone kills him, who knows. But, yeah. But also, I read that earlier in the week, and since then, Ricochet has come out and said on Twitter, "Don't believe everything you hear." But honestly, in my opinion, he could still work a schedule like Gargano and Ciampa. They still work the indie shows, but they have to make sure they don't conflict with the NXT shows. Like, NXT is priority, and if they don't have NXT show going on, then they can go work for like PWG or
That's cool.
Evolve or something like that. And that's what Samoa Joe did before he was full-time NXT.
And the rules for them were nothing that airs on television / pay-per-view. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, anything, I know it was a deal when Joe was coming in. There was a Ring of Honor show, I think, that he was pulled from because it was a pay-per-view / TV taping. But other than that, I mean, he can work all the dark shows he wants to, just as long as it doesn't conflict with WWE's schedule.
Yep.
Which makes sense. I mean, I don't fault WWE for that. You're not going to pay a guy to make a name somewhere else. I mean, so, or to keep getting on television elsewhere. They don't have a working talent exchange with most anybody anymore like they used to back in the 90s. So, it makes sense.
Yep. All right, moving on. New Japan held their Invasion Attack event. For them, I guess it was last night. For us in the States, it was like 3 a.m. they aired it. I haven't gotten around to watching it, but I did read the results. There was, do you want me to read the results? Before I just start spoiling everything.
Go ahead.
All right. There's lots of title changes.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Naito won the world title.
I'll get to it. Hold on.
Oh, yes.
Okay, the first match, 2 members of the Bullet Club, Bad Luck Fale and Takahashi, defeated Juice Robinson and Taguchi.
Who's Takahashi? I don't know that name.
I don't either. And honestly, I don't really know.
I think it's the Japanese guy that always brings like the porn stars / adult models to the ring with him. I think that's who Takahashi. I don't know. I haven't watched the Access show in a while, so I'm kind of way out of the loop with names. Anyway, go carry on. Sorry.
1 second. Misspelled something. The next match, Jushin Thunder Liger, Kojima, and Yuji Nagata defeated Sakuraba, Toruyano, and Yoshihashi.
Jushin Thunder Liger!
Yes, sir. The next match was a tag match. Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto defeated Bushi and Evil of Los Ingobernables. And then, this is the first title change.
Oh.
And if you go back to what we were talking about with Ricochet, Roppongi Vice beat Ricochet and Seidel to become the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Champs.
I believe a certain host of this very podcast not 3 weeks ago said, if they lose the belts, ... Good call, sir.
What can I say? What can I say? I read that online. The next match, Kushida retained his IWGP Junior Heavyweight belt against Will Ospreay.
Oh my God! I saw that
GIF. Which was a really good match.
I saw that GIF of Ospreay doing like the no hand off the rope.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Now I know who Will Ospreay is. I didn't even know what he looked like until today.
There's a if I can find it, there's a 2-minute video clip of I forgot the guy who plays Killshot on Lucha Underground.
Yes, okay.
Shane Strickland. Him versus Will Ospreay at this small organization called 16 Carat or something like that.
Oh my God, that was probably an insane spot fest.
Well, what's crazy is they started fighting, and then all of a sudden over the speakers they started playing Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars, and it just turned into a dance battle. And it was one of the coolest things. But yeah, it was. If I can find it, I'll have to send you the link on Twitter or something. But there was also one spot that I saw. Will Ospreay did some sort of dive off the top rope, and Kushida caught him in midair in an armbar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Here's another title change. Tanahashi, Michael Elgin, and Yoshitatsu defeated the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega to become the new never openweight 6-man tag champs.
Now, the never openweight singles championship is essentially like the X Division championship / hardcore championship, kind of anything
I believe
goes.
so. Like, I don't know if it's anything goes. I think it's more like there's no weight divisions.
Okay.
Because like for the like Kushida, like he's a junior heavyweight. He can't go. He couldn't fight Okada for the heavyweight. I want to say it's. I don't know. I mean, that's what I take it as, but I don't really.
So
know
the
that much
never
about
openweight trios championship is like the same thing, like no weight limits.
Yeah, that's my guess.
I don't really understand the concept of the trios belts.
I don't think anyone does, because those titles change like crazy.
From what I've heard, they had the same problem WWE had 14 years ago. They've got too many championship belts.
Yeah.
Like they've got a world heavyweight and a junior world heavyweight. They've got a heavyweight tag and junior heavyweight tag. They've got an intercontinental champion and then the never openweight, and then the never openweight 6-man tag team champion or 3-man, whatever you call it.
Yeah, 6-man.
It's like I would be scared if they ever introduced a women's division and they would have like 7 belts for the women.
Yeah, exactly. But there was 2 things that happened during this match. There was at one part, I didn't see it, but I read about it. Cody Hall, who is, I don't know if he's the son or the nephew of Scott Hall.
Oh, he's the son.
He's the son? Okay. I never actually figured out who, I knew they were related, but I didn't know.
Scott Hall's pretty much hands off, so he doesn't kind of influence any of the bookers or promoters. He just kind of lets his son do his thing, pretty much.
Gotcha. Well, apparently something happened, like Nick Jackson like jumped out of the crowd or something, and like there was a big spot, and Cody Hall got hit or something. I don't really know everything about it, but apparently he got like really hurt.
Oh, wow.
And was like he laid like motionless in the aisle, like, and it wasn't.
Was it a head injury?
I don't know. But they said he went to the hospital, but they said he's doing better now, but it was real scary at the time.
Ooh, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I know. And also before the match, you know how Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks always grab, the cameraman and just, start talking shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Kenny Omega grabbed the cameraman and said that all the fans wasted their money watching something last weekend.
Right. I did read that a couple hours ago.
Yeah, and he's going to show you what you should have been watching all along.
I love Kenny Omega.
He's so good.
He pretty much grabs the cameraman and talks shit for breakfast.
Yeah. I remember, when was it? I think it was right after Wrestle Kingdom, or another event afterwards. I don't remember which one it was, but he basically called out the New Day, and said that him and the Young Bucks were the greatest 3-man team in the world.
They missed a perfect opportunity to book the Elite at WrestleMania.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. Shibata defeated Hiroyoshi Tenzan to retain his never openweight belt. The Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tamaroa, who was Camacho, I believe, in TNA. Mm-hmm. They defeated Togi Makabe and Tomoaki Honma to become the new IWGP Heavyweight Tag Champs.
Camacho. Wasn't he in NXT at one point, too?
Yeah, I think he was.
Because I remember there being a Camacho, like...
Yeah.
And then...
Because did he feud with Sami Zayn? No, it wasn't Sami Zayn.
I think he was also the fake Sin Cara, wasn't he?
No.
Before the new Sin Cara?
Camacho's way too big.
Okay.
He's like, you could tell he's like 50, 75 pounds, like just more muscle.
But no, there was the original Sin Cara, and then there was the fake Sin Cara.
Unless the original Sin Caras used steroids and jacked.
And then the fake Sin Cara became the new Sin Cara, and then Camacho, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I do remember, like, the guy who played Camacho in TNA not TNA, but in NXT, went to TNA, and he was in some 3-man group with Drew Galloway, and they on camera recognized him as Haku's son.
Yeah.
And that's the same guy who's in Japan right now? Because I want to say Tama Tonga was also Haku's son, right?
Yeah, because Camacho and Tama Tonga are brothers.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And then the main event.
Oh, God, please.
Naito defeated Okada.
Woo!
Yeah, he defeated Okada to become the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And apparently Naito reversed the Rainmaker and turned it into his finisher. I didn't get the name of it. And after the match, Evil, Bushi, and Naito beat down Okada, and Naito threw the title in the air and left it in the ring. That's what it said. I don't know how.
I like heel Naito. He's cool.
Yeah.
Like I can envision him just throwing the belt up like a pizza dough and walking away from it as it hits the mat.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to know what becomes of that. Like, I don't know the tradition of like what New Japan, but I know they hold their championships in very high esteem. So that's like the ultimate heel move in Japan, to throw the belt down and walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to get some heel heat for yourself.
Yep.
In America, people would be like, whatever, because belts don't mean anything in America.
Yeah, very true. Also, there were reports that Bobby Roode has signed with TNA.
What?
He was yeah. Or not TNA, NXT.
Oh, thank
sorry.
God. Thank
No.
God.
I was, I don't know. All that talk about Camacho and TNA.
I was like, he didn't make the James Storm mistake, did he?
No. Reports he had signed with NXT. My bad. He was shown at the Takeover event in Dallas, and that apparently he had signed a deal a week prior, so that's why he was shown. But since reading that, he also came out and said that he hasn't signed. But my guess is that NXT and him came to an agreement, so that's probably why they were able to show him on TV.
Yeah, he technically hasn't put his signature on the paper yet. That's all that means. But he has verbally agreed to a deal.
Yeah, probably a handshake agreement or verbal agreement. Speaking of NXT TakeOver Dallas, Kota Ibushi was also shown, and since then he has joined the Global Cruiserweight Series. There was a post online with him and William Regal, like, they took a picture together, and the caption of it said that he was going to be in the series. So that's cool.
We got about 2 months until the Global Cruiserweight Series starts. Do you think we'll see any of those guys rumored maybe have a match at NXT? Any of the not the TV show, but any of the live events to kind of get their name out there? Or what?
I don't know. I don't know if this is and this kind of goes into what I was going to say in the next rumor. But yeah, I don't know if it's just going to be like a one-time thing, like show up for the series and then go back to what they were doing, because I also read that there is talk of WWE. I mean, granted, this WWE is trying to raid everyone.
Yeah.
But
Makes
there's
sense.
also talk of WWE raiding Lucha Underground.
If you take Pentagon Jr. to NXT, I would I would probably die of excitement. Literally die of excitement.
Yeah. Now, again, like we were just saying, I don't know if they could compete like a one-time thing, show up for the tournament and then leave, and, if they lose, go back to Lucha Underground or wherever they were originally.
If you lose, go to the main roster.
Yeah, exactly. You degrade that much. But there's been talk about WWE they want to get around, I think they said minimum 5 Mexican wrestlers. And there are only, on the article I read, they only named 4, and that was Pentagon Jr., Dragon Azteca Jr., Phoenix, and King Cuerno.
For the Cruiserweight tournament?
Yes.
Is Cuerno a Cruiserweight? He looks a little heavy.
Well, the weight limit is 205.
He looks a lot bigger than 205.
Yeah.
He looks like 215, 220, because...
Yeah, but they can always say he's 205.
Yeah, well, I guess they can lie. They always lie to us.
Yeah, but
95,000 people were at the dark match for WrestleMania 3, and they had 120,000 for WrestleMania 32. Didn't you know?
Yeah, I thought it was closer to 200.
Oh, well.
But in regards to King Cuerno, I read a while ago that he wanted out of his AAA contract, so he could do other things like work more independents and stuff like the global Cruiserweight Series. but AAA won't let him. So as much as I would like to see that, I'm not sure if he'll be able to be in the tournament or not.
I don't know, man. Give him 3 weeks. They'll probably forget to pay him, and then he can leave.
Yeah, probably.
AAA is,
And then,
from what I understand, having as bad of a money problem as TNA. It's just not being very widely reported in the States. They're behind paying some guys, too.
yeah, that's why Del Rio left. That's why Rey
yeah.
Mysterio left. Yeah, that's why a lot of people are leaving. Also, Ricochet, WWE wants him too, and he's Prince Puma on Lucha Underground. But he's not a Mexican wrestler. He's a black guy from California. So.
But then again, they can probably just say, well, he's not the same guy from Lucha Underground. I mean, he wears a mask. How can you prove it? And he has different ring gear.
And the same exact chest piece and full arm sleeve tattoo.
Oh,
it's a coincidence.
That's photoshopped.
Yeah, exactly.
If Hulk Hogan can defeat Gawker in court, WWE can successfully argue that that's not Prince Puma working for NXT.
That's true. It's called makeup, people.
Exactly.
All right, WWE is holding a live event at the end of June, I believe June 29th in Hawaii.
Ooh.
There's talk that this show could end up being a network special.
Which means Brock Lesnar is going to finish off the New Day by facing Xavier Woods this time.
Yeah. They've stacked the show with big names. Roman Reigns, Jericho, Wyatt, New Day, Owens, Uso, AJ Styles, Charlotte, and also Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka are going to be on this network. Well, if it is a network special, but
oh man,
the only reason I've read that they're going to be on this show is because right afterwards they're going to be flying to Japan, where WWE is going to hold a couple shows on July 1st and 2nd. And of course they want Nakamura and Asuka on those shows.
That's going to be another Beast from the East, or not? They call it not Beast from the East because that was
another
Brock Lesnar,
Japanese,
another house show that's going to be a network special from Japan.
Probably. If I were them, I'd put Nakamura and Balor on that card, hands down.
I very much appreciated
Styles.
that birthday present from WWE last year. I was like July 2nd, a couple days before my birthday. Got to watch a really good wrestling show. Thanks, guys. That was very much appreciated. Yeah. Although I'd like to see Nakamura and Asuka versus Bayley and Sami Zayn in a mixed tag match.
Yeah.
That would be good.
It would be. It would be good.
In Japan.
Main
event.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. NXT has been on tour these past couple days, and on Thursday night, the main event was a tag team match. It was Ty Dillinger and Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura.
I wonder who won that match.
Yeah. How amazing would it have been to be in the crowd?
I saw the fan video of Nakamura and Finn Balor entering the ring, and they did that stereo, like, grab the rope and fall backward that Nakamura always does.
Yeah.
And then I saw Finn Balor holding up a sign, "Hey, Carl and Doc, where are you?"
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man. This guy gets it.
Which Doc replied, said, soon or something like, I don't remember what he said. Something, or when the time is right.
Yeah, I did
something
see that.
like that. Yeah. But the next night, I don't remember where it was, NXT, the next night, Nakamura faced Manny Andrade, who is the former La Sombra, who I've heard is ridiculously good. I've only seen a handful of stuff on.
I'll see him when the time is right. But
and I think they're going to introduce him in the tournament or in the Cruiserweight series. Yeah.
Although I did hear the original rumor, like when they first announced the Cruiserweight tournament. The original rumor was to get him over.
Yeah, it was like his to lose, basically.
Which, that's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say a dick move, but that's kind of like, well, why would you take all these people just to get one guy over? Let it play out like it plays out, you know? Because they didn't even know who they were going to have in the tournament at the time. If you have guys like Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix.
And Ricochet and Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi, all these guys, I can't wait.
Any one of those 7 people could win it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you can't just pick the winner, you know. You basically have to book each match via the coin flip, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's basically going to be right before they go out and be like, hey, your heads, your tails. All right, you win.
Best
Go.
2 out of 3, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, exactly. Put on a, good 10, 15-minute match. And lastly, the last rumor / news, whatever, kind of hurts my feelings a little bit.
Uh-oh. Did your boy, Brock Lesnar retire?
No, I'd be celebrating. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying.
Finn Balor said in an interview that he wanted to ride a horse down to the ring for his match at NXT TakeOver Dallas.
Yeah, I think I tweeted something along the lines of, I hope he never gets to book the show, because that's the worst idea I've ever heard.
Now, as someone who lived in Texas for most of my life, I hated this because it's very stereotypical. Like, not everyone in Texas owns a fucking horse or a cowboy hat or wears boots all the time.
I've been to back and forth between Austin and San Antonio several times. I've never seen a horse up close.
Yep.
I mean, literally, I'm not joking. I've never seen anybody, except for some police officers, obviously. But I've never seen a ranch with a horse. Now, granted, I've never gone down to the Broken Skull Ranch and hung out, but...
Granted, I mean, Texas does have, ranches and stuff, but they are, like, deep in the country, not necessarily, like I was from Houston, like...
They were in Dallas. There's no horses in the, Dallas proper. Go out to the outskirts, to a farm, yes, but not in the city.
Yeah. Yeah, as a former Texas native, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, but as a wrestling fan, that may have been the best thing ever, in my opinion.
It would have been a hell of a lot better than Texas Chainsaw Balor.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a flop.
I think he should have came out wearing the mask and, have the demon the demon face paint underneath.
Yeah.
That would have definitely made it a lot better had he been.
He was wearing a jacket, I think, and he had a chainsaw.
He was wearing like the overcoat.
If he had the apron on, the guy wore an apron. He didn't wear an overcoat.
Yeah, it was like an apron or like overalls or something like that.
Whatever he was wearing, Finn Balor wasn't copying it properly.
No, not at all. All right, well, that does it for news and rumors.
Woo!
So I guess we can go on to Ring of Honor.
Which opened with a video package of show favorite Donovan Dijak putting Truth Martini in the hospital. I'm hoping this is not a legit injury. This is only a work, because I'd hate to see Truth Martini miss time because he's injured. He's the best manager in professional wrestling. He's the best on the... I think if you put Truth Martini on the microphone against Paul Heyman, the universe would implode.
That is very true.
And Jay Lethal cut a promo stating that he's going to get revenge on Dijak. So that's true. That could be a world title match soon. I don't know if they would necessarily put Dijak over, because he seems like it's a little too soon maybe to put the belt on him.
Yeah, he's only I say that, but
he won the top prospect tournament a year ago, and he's
but if you think about Leo Rush won it this year, and he already had a title match.
Well, yeah, but they weren't going to put the belt on him. I mean, I don't know how long Dijak's been in the business, though.
I think they'll put the belt on Colt Cabana before they put it on.
Oh man, don't say that, because now I want that to happen. Now I'm expecting Colt Cabana to win the belt at Best in the World.
Well, think about it. It may happen.
Dude, if that happens, that would be like the greatest thing ever.
And then Jay Lethal comes over for the Cruiserweight Series. All right, first match.
You know what? After listening to his interview with Cabana, isn't the most far-fetched thing.
Yep.
Although, from what I understand, Ring of Honor takes care of him, so,
That is true. He is one of their top guys. First match was Red Dragon versus Kazuchika Okada and Gato.
And they showed the tail of the tape, and Gato debuted in 1989. That's 27 years ago, and he does not look like he's been wrestling for 27 years.
No, he looks like he's like 30 years old.
I just started hearing about him a couple of years ago. I had no idea he'd been around so long.
I didn't know his name until last year.
I know he's one of the bookers for New Japan, but I mean that takes some influence.
I think he's like the main, like him, and he's the main booker for New Japan, and then Delirious is the main booker for Ring of Honor.
Yeah, and I'm like, obviously you have to have been around for a while to get that, distinction, but they're not going to give you the
Yeah.
book if you just finished Tough Enough last week.
Yeah.
But 27 years, damn, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought Caprice Coleman being from 1998 was a long time ago.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, like, I know I told you earlier, but I had to do I had a lot of schoolwork and do some cleaning and stuff, so I had this on as not necessarily background, but I was doing my stuff and I would casually, check in if I heard the crowd getting crazy. But I didn't really take too many notes other than the fact that Red Dragon won with their double finisher chasing the dragon, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, but they got the pinfall on Gato, so it wasn't. Which, if anybody's taking the pinfall, it's probably going to be Gato.
Was it on Gato? I thought it was on Okada.
It was Gato.
Oh, it was Gato?
That's what I have written down, and I have.
Okay, that's right, because Okada was on the outside.
I rewound it to make sure, because I was like, wait, okay, yeah, it was Gato.
Yeah, okay.
And O'Reilly's been dealing with some nagging cauliflower ear lately, which sounds like it's the most painful thing in the world.
It looks nasty.
Like, I didn't even get a good look at it, but I heard about it a couple of weeks ago, and they actually mentioned it on television, so I figured, well, maybe it's a work, but no, it's been around for a while. I just think, again, not to name drop, Seth Petrozelli, I think about that, where his cauliflower ear was, just Kimbo punched him in the ear.
Oh, yeah.
Blew it wide open. That was the worst I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty.
and then after, let me now do my Jay Lethal impersonation.
All right.
Listen up, wrestling fans. If knee or back pain has you down for the count, then kick out by giving the expert staff at Health Alert Hotline a call now. And through Medicare, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you, just like the one I'm wearing now. So whether in or out of the ring, don't spend your life suffering in agony. Fight back with a pain-saving knee or back brace. Call 1-800-471-2270 now.
You wrote that entire commercial down?
I paused and rewound as much as I had to get that.
Oh,
That is my favorite promo or commercial.
Listen here, wrestling
That's
fans.
the greatest thing. Jay Lethal, the biggest heel in Ring of Honor, doing a knee and back brace commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that guy. He's the best.
All right, and the next match was one that I watched more of. It was Adam Cole versus Kushida.
Oh, but let me stop you there.
Mm-hmm.
Right before that, the Briscoes cut a promo, and they officially challenged War Machine to a tag team title match. It seems like
That is true.
They quote, "You can't call yourself the best when you ain't beat the baddest tag team on the planet." I don't think much of Mark Briscoe just because he's goofy and weird, but Jay Briscoe is probably the scariest looking dude I've ever seen on television.
Oh, hands down.
If I ever was in the same building as Jay Briscoe, I'd go lock myself in a bathroom stall and cry.
I got a fist bump from him.
Oh, nice.
At the Ring of Honor tapings.
Well, you've got street cred now, because I'm scared of you now.
Yeah, you should be.
That guy, he's a bad dude. I mean, I kind of bummed he took the belt off of him, but hey, they put it on Jay Lethal, so yeah, I can't argue too much.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm looking for the Briscoes to be 9-time champs, and if I have to guess, if they can, and Ring of Honor does a good job of booking long term, I'm looking for probably Best in the World would probably be their next pay-per-view. That's probably when they're going to put the belts on the Briscoes, because them calling themselves the baddest tag team on the planet, Best in the World, it's synergy. It makes a total sense.
Yeah, goes hand in hand. All right, and then I believe Adam Cole won this one, right?
Yes, he did that suplex neck breaker that he does on the knee.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't know the name of it, so I just wrote down Adam Cole won.
When Kevin Owens does it off the top rope, it's good for a 2 count. When Adam Cole does it on the mat, it's good for a win.
Yeah, when Adam Cole does it, he defeats the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, when Kevin Owens does it, he gets up and yells at Michael Cole.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what you can say about the booking in Ring of Honor. They book their people strong.
Yeah.
Now, Kushida seems like he's the Japanese Marty McFly, not because he dresses like him, His gimmick is a time traveler, but he calls his
armbar, right? The hoverboard.
Yeah, the hoverboard lock. I just hope that in 15 years he's not suffering from Parkinson's disease as well.
Yeah.
Ouch, he went there.
Yeah, I'm hoping to find the I'm hoping to see the Invasion Attack, because that's one match that I want to see him and Will Ospreay.
Now, they talked a lot on commentary about Adam Cole. I missed last week, the week previous show, where Matt Taven came out and cut a promo where he essentially kicked Adam Cole out of the Kingdom and said he will be rebuilding the Kingdom in his own image.
Yeah, that's why he's not wearing that. If you notice, that's why he was wearing like black.
Yeah, they mentioned that too.
Gear,
which,
as opposed to his normal red, the Kingdom gear.
Him being kicked out of the Kingdom, is that turning him face? Is he still staying heel? Because I kind of get the feeling that he's doing a lone wolf gimmick like Scott Hall did back when the NWO kicked him out, where he wasn't quite a face, but he wasn't quite full heel.
Yeah.
He seems very smug and disingenuous, kind of like the asshole in the ring. So
he has that. He does do those mannerisms where, like, when him and Kushida were on the outside, he told the fans to move because he was going to acted like he was going to throw him in the crowd, but he turned him around and threw him in the ring, and then he started like flicking off the crowd.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's like a tweener almost, but he's more heel than, I guess, more heel than anything. But if he's going to go for the world title, I guess he kind of has to be the babyface, because Jay Lethal's not going to go babyface anytime soon. And Adam Cole's been talking about getting a shot at the world title lately, which excites the hell out of me. You've got Donovan Dijak, you've got Adam Cole, Dalton Castle's even making a play for the world title scene. This is about to get real good in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna look something up online real quick.
I mean, Jay Lethal's been champion it'll be 1 year in June that he's been champion, and 10 months he's been the champ, uninterrupted. That's exciting. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they you saying that they signed a main event for April 23rd in San Antonio for the Conquest Tour. Did you see it? It's the 6-man Mayhem.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. Well, it's got a weird name, so I don't exactly know exactly what it is. I'm just thinking it's a title, like a 6-man World Heavyweight title match. But it's called the 6-man Mayhem Ring of Honor World Championship Proving Ground Instant Reward Match. Which is way too much.
That's very convoluted.
Yeah, but it's Moose, Roderick Strong, Jay Lethal, Jay Briscoe, ACH, and Kyle O'Reilly.
What the heck? That can't be a championship match if ACH is in it.
Yeah,
why would
I don't know.
Why? First of all, why wouldn't Dalton Castle be in that match? Why wouldn't Adam Cole?
Unless they're saving that one for later.
I don't know. I can see Jay Briscoe, obviously. He's a former world champion. Moose is... I mean, I guess he's
Moose is, like, on the rise.
He's rising the ladder for sure, but I don't know. We'll know more as we get closer, but that doesn't seem like a legitimate 6-man world championship match.
Yeah. But it's also on, it's a random...
Maybe if you pin the champ, you get a title shot?
Yeah, or if some...
That proving ground part kind of throws me off a little bit, like...
Yeah, and then it says instant reward.
Yeah, that too. I was like, what are you trying to prove?
Okay, well, maybe Jay Lethal's in the match, and if you pin someone else, then the match ends, and then you and Jay Lethal fight right then.
There's going to have to be some explanation to that.
Yeah, it definitely will.
Now, there's another match that got signed for April 23rd. I saw it on the website when I was going to watch the episode. I got super excited, and now I honestly cannot remember what the match listed was. It was like a singles match or something. I don't know. No, okay. It was... No, I know BJ Whitmer and...
BJ Whitmer and Adam Page, right?
It's a match without honor, right?
Something like that.
That excites me because, you know what, people? I like BJ Whitmer, and I don't care who knows it. He's not the most exciting guy in the world, but I enjoy watching him wrestle, and Adam Page is pretty damn cool, too.
Yeah.
People crapping on BJ Whitmer because he's boring. I don't see it. I don't see the boring. He's a veteran. He's been around for a very long time. I enjoy his work.
Their website only shows 3 matches announced so far for that San Antonio show.
Okay.
It's the 6-man
Yeah.
smorgasbord, the San Antonio street fight between Adam Page and BJ Whitmer, and then the Young Bucks versus Cheeseburger and Delirious.
That's the match I saw that I'm like, wow. The Bucks
Yeah.
are fighting Cheeseburger and Delirious. I honestly didn't think Delirious still wrestled. I know he booked the show, but I didn't think he was still wrestling.
Hey, Delirious is going to take the pinfall. Or at least that's my opinion.
Yeah, because the Bucks.
I don't see them pinning Cheeseburger, especially in this match.
Is this for a television taping or just like a big tour house show?
I think it's just like a big house show kind of thing.
Cheeseburger's going to get the pinfall. He's a big fan favorite. That's my official prediction right here. Cheeseburger is getting the pinfall. I don't even care who he pins. And that's not.
It'll probably be Nick Jackson.
That's not me having some like flashback or some withdrawal of Young Bucks hate. No, I'm legitimately think it's not for television, so who cares who wins? First of all, Cheeseburger is a big fan favorite. Why not give the kid a big victory in San Antonio?
Yeah, exactly.
And please, Ring of Honor, if you ever hear this podcast, I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We have a really neat arena in New Orleans called the New Orleans Arena. We also have the Convention Center. In Mississippi, we have the Coast Coliseum, which can fit 13,000 people. Can y'all come around here and do a television tape and maybe a house show? I really want to attend one of your programs, but I'm not driving to Nashville for a fucking TV taping.
Hey, but it's 5 hours worth of wrestling.
There's no way I'm driving 9 hours to see 5 hours of wrestling.
Hey, it's only a 6.5 hour
Now, I would drive 9 hours to see 2 hours of WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. But I'm not driving 5 hours to see Ring of Honor because, I mean, unless it's a pay-per-view. I'd go see a pay-per-view. Those are usually pretty darn good.
Oh, did I tell you about the event that's going on at the end of May here in Nashville?
Okay, kill my dream.
No. It's nothing like Ring of Honor or, WWE related. It's called Freedom Pro Wrestling.
Oh, yes, I think I've seen that. Kevin Nash was going to be there.
Yeah, Kevin Nash, MVP, Eric Young, Crimson, and Tommy Dreamer.
The recently unemployed MVP.
Yeah. And the recently arrested Crimson for beating his wife or something.
Wait a second. When did this happen?
Like they released his mugshots online. Like he apparently was like, I don't know if it's his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, but apparently she called the cops on him because he physically assaulted her, like headbutted her or beat her or something.
What a dirtbag. That's the two things that I can't stand are DUIs and wife beating. Because it's totally preventable. Like, you can actually stop yourself from doing both of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
But where's the Crimson WWE action? Did that ever happen?
Not that I know of.
And Gunner. I was going to ask you this the other day, but I figured I'd save it for the news and rumors section. Gunner, is he still on WWE's radar?
I hope so, because I think he would be a good fit, especially on NXT.
He visited the Performance Center the same time Austin Aries did, and they both left TNA at the same time. But Gunner is essentially like off the grid. I haven't heard his name attached to anything in like 9 months.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Which is kind of a shame because he's only about 34 years old, and WWE likes to play the Armed Forces card, like. Not maliciously, but they play it like, we're on the Armed Forces Network, and they give free tickets to active military and former military.
John Cena's hosting a TV show on Fox that's all about military stuff.
Exactly. Gunner is former military. I think he was Army?
Was he Army, Navy, something like that?
It's either the Army or the Marines. He served a few tours. Hey, you know what? There's a guy.
He looks like he would be in the Marines.
Well, he was the 50 cal gunner. I'm sure he's killed a few people.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Which that's something they're gonna promote on television because we're PG.
No.
But hey, you know what? You want to promote a guy who's former military, just like you're promoting two guys in NXT who are your tag team champions who are former Olympics. I mean, come on, it doesn't get much better than that. And Doesn't get much more fan favorite than that, too. Former military, that gotta be an instant face.
Very true. All right, and moving on, the main event of Ring of Honor was the Addiction versus Motor City Machine Guns. And the Machine Guns won with their double finishing move.
There was some conflicting advertisement here. They show the tail of the tape before every match, which is pretty cool. You get to see height, weight, when they debuted as a pro, how many years they've been a pro, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They showed them on the tail of the tape as the Machine Guns. Their name tag on the screen said Motor City Machine Guns. So I'm guessing that was like post-production, but the tail of the tape was like, whatever. I guess they're not proud to be from the Motor City at the moment because of how Detroit has deteriorated into a third world country.
Yeah, unless it was, Motor City Machine Guns was a TNA thing.
But
they couldn't.
They did both. They actually showed them the on-screen nameplate said Motor City, but the tail of the tape said just the Machine Guns. Yeah. So I don't know if they're phasing out Motor City or what, but it's not that big of a deal. But it's two different ways to advertise them.
Yeah.
And they're still pointing to their hand like goofballs.
They still do. Yeah. They still do that. I did notice that.
They explained that like. Back in TNA, I think they were feuding with the Dudley or Team 3D, Dudley Boys. They asked him, "Why do you point to your hand?" And I think Alex Shelley said, "This is the hand I'm gonna bitch slap you with," or something stupid like that. Like, I don't know why they point to the palm of their hand.
Well, the reason they do their hand is because they said the hand looks like the state of Michigan in a way, or at least similar to it. I don't know.
I was born with 5 fingers on my hand, and I'm looking at both hands, and I don't have any birth defects, but my hand does not look like the state of Michigan.
No, not at all. And apparently where they point is where they're from, so I'm assuming, Detroit.
So they're from, never mind, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, let's just move on to Lucha Underground.
Actually, before we move on to Lucha, Dalton Castle had a vignette, which he said, yeah. And I quote, "I don't know how many years I got left on this planet, but I'm going to get weird." And I got excited. I'm like, he's kind of a weirdo. Like, the first time I ever saw him, I'm like, 2015 Goldust, but better? Because, like,
I've seen him twice live, and he is so good. The crowd just loves him.
He's so much more than a Goldust ripoff. He's this weird, charismatic, like, I don't want to say charismatic enigma, but not like a Jeff Hardy. It's like he's this nutshell inside of a nutshell. There's so many layers to this guy. It's like they haven't even begun to explore the Dalton Castle character yet. Like, there's so many different things that they could do. He's just cool, but you can see the layers there. I can't wait for them to really start putting this guy out front and putting him on top of the card.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about Lucha Underground.
Alrighty. Lucha Underground. Alright. I watched this show at work, so I didn't write down. I mean, once I got home, I wrote down who won and who fought and stuff, but I didn't write down like any like the backstage.
I guess
or, like,
I'll take the lead on this one,
packages or something.
It opened with a video package of Vampiro. It's like the dirtiest bathroom on earth, and he's holding his bottle of crazy pills. And then Dario Cueto he comes out from a dark corner, and
as he does,
and he dares him to basically put him through a window or bash his skull in or whatever. And then Vampiro kind of gives it like a thought, like, I'm gonna basically hurt this guy because his brother hurt my pupil. His pupil is Pentagon Jr., which leads me to believe that he's off his meds this week, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And then he tells him, basically, if you put your hands on me, I'll let Matanza tear you to pieces, which would be the worst thing ever, because he first of all called Vampiro the voice of Lucha Underground, which I agree with 100%. Killing your best announcer probably wouldn't be a good idea.
No, not at all.
And then I think Dario just walked away, or they cut to black. It didn't go anywhere, but it kind of was like he put over Vampiro as the voice of Lucha, which, hey, I'm going to have some things to say about that in about 10 minutes, and yeah, I agree totally.
That is true.
Next, we had Officer Dick Justice, a Mexican super cop, in their, I guess, lieutenant's office, which, that being Joey Ryan and the other guy who's in the crew.
Yeah, it's Carlos, where is it? Castro?
I think
Something?
it's Castro, yeah, because Mr. Cisco
Because Mr. Cisco is the chubby one.
Yeah, and their lieutenant told them that they still need to dig up dirt on Dario Cueto so she can bring him down, which they haven't really developed that too much in the past couple of weeks, so maybe that bleeds into season 3.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know when Ultima Lucha is. I got to imagine it's going to be sometime in the summer. Like,
Yeah.
I know this is a shorter season than season 1, but essentially they said you need to do whatever it takes to even tag team together. So she says you need to go find a tag team partner and enter yourself into that trios tournament. And you need to get close to Dario, which I guess winning the tournament would get close to Dario because it was his idea to put it together. And so that was that. They're going to team with Mr. Cisco.
Mm-hmm.
Then they showed this is a lot of backstage. It wasn't any matches at this point.
It was a lot of a lot of video.
Killshot was up next, and they gave his background story, which I gotta take issue with some things here. Which is, I'm finally giving him a background story, which is good. He was an Army sniper who had 37 confirmed kills, which is great. I'm on board so far. Killshot, it was his nickname. Here's where I kind of think, how are you still a babyface?
Mm-hmm.
He admitted to leaving his entire team behind enemy lines and letting them get captured as he ran away from a fight, or however he phrased it. Then he broke in to save them, or he got captured too somehow. He got away to go get help and left them behind. And to this day doesn't know if they ever got out alive.
Yeah.
Wait a second. So let me get this straight. The leave no man behind motto doesn't apply to you. You left your entire team behind enemy lines, and
he left all of the men behind.
You're just like, well, I guess they're gonna get home, bro. Why don't you go back in there and get them out?
Yeah.
See, Rambo would have gone and got his men out. He leave them behind like a pussy. That's where they lose me on the whole Killshot thing. It's like, I love the backstory, but then I don't love the backstory. It's like, You're kind of a heel now, right?
Yeah.
Then, this is the best part of the show. 423 Get Fame. Famous B, he gave Masquerita Sagrada his business card and said, give me a call, bro. And as he's walking out of the locker room, he walks past the Mac and Sexy Star, who were lifting weights and talking, which, whatever.
She was lifting like 300 pounds.
Yeah, she was curling a bus.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Rey Mysterio and Rey Mysterio and Dragon Azteca were talking.
Junior.
Dragon Azteca Jr., which I can, and I don't want you to spoil it if you remember, but from what I kind of feel that Dragon Azteca is going to grow to resent Rey Mysterio's like overbearing father figure role, because it seems like Rey Mysterio is like, I got us a trios match or something. I'm like, what? Do you speak for him now? I mean, I know y'all are like in the same tribe together, but it seems like Rey Mysterio is trying to run this guy's career to this point. Like, he got him into Aztec Warfare, he got him into the trios tournament. It's like, bro, let me do this myself. But Puma's going to be their third man for their trios match next week. And boy, did Puma speak some words. He said like 4 words and he didn't.
Who's our partner? Me.
He didn't even bother to have a Spanish accent.
No, not at all.
I can see the Detroit in you, or Illinois, or wherever you're from. He sounded like an American, which he is, because he's Ricochet.
That is. What?
So
spoilers, dude. Come on.
That kind of killed the whole Puma mystique for me to some degree.
Yeah.
And then we had the main event. Phoenix challenging Matanza for the belt. Okay. Fuck Matt Stryker on so many levels. As Matanza is walking to
Yeah.
the ring, he says, and I quote, "Matanza, the eater of worlds." Bro, fuck you, you piece of shit. You fucking jackass. You gimmick infringement piece of garbage. I understand that Bray Wyatt is going absolutely nowhere, but fuck you for taking a shot at your former employer.
Yeah.
You got fired because you couldn't conduct yourself like a professional on television. Bro, I'm marking out. Shut up, okay? You're on WWE television at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Act like you've been there before, okay? So sit at your second-rate broadcast desk with your 300,000 viewers each week, shut your fucking mouth, and call your spot fests with a play-by-play guy that makes you look like a third-rate Steve Mongo McMichael calling your first wrestling event. And by the way, Matanza murdered Phoenix in the main event. It wasn't even competitive. Anyway, God, I hate Matt Stryker so goddamn much right now. The Eater of Worlds.
Yeah.
You cannot openly gimmick infringe like that, bro. You gotta stop with the being a douchebag every week.
Yeah.
Using big words like Mike Tenay used to use. Trying to be Mauro Ranallo with a hint of JR. Just go ahead, be the second-rate play-by-play guy that you are. Vampiro makes you look like a tool. He's so much better than you. And Vampiro isn't even an announcer. He's a professional or former professional wrestler who's announcing because they couldn't find anybody else. I think he was their last choice or whatever.
Yeah, and he's turned out to be the better of the two.
He's turned out to be way better than any former wrestler I have ever heard on commentary. Except for maybe CM Punk and a couple of other guys.
I was thinking CM Punk.
Because he was a very good...
Oh, Kevin Owens.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Owens on commentary is...
Kevin Owens is very good on commentary.
One of the best.
That's... Oh, God, fuck you, Matt Stryker. And if you ever hear this, please block me on Twitter. Please block me on social media. I never want to see your name cross my consciousness ever again. Fuck you.
Moving on.
Okay.
Well, no. The cool thing after the main event, Mil Muertes came out and attacked Matanza.
Wow, that was like two bulls fighting.
Yeah. And then as Mil Muertes is leaving the ring, he's just staring down Phoenix like, yeah, I helped you, so what?
And then Katrina came out with the stone that she has for Mil Muertes and kind of gave this weird look to Phoenix, and I'm like, strange love triangle?
What I hate, and Grant, I just picked up on it, as Dario Cueto and Matanza were walking to the ring. Dario Cueto treats the key like Katrina, that's her.
Yeah, Katrina. Name, right? Katrina.
Yeah, like she carries the stone for Mil Muertes.
See, I thought you were going to say the urn that Paul Bearer used to have because he holds it in front of his face.
Paul Bearer held the urn too, but the way that she uses the stone is the way that Dario Cueto uses the key, and I was like, they couldn't change something. I
kind of think what I've always thought, and I think they've even explained it as such. She uses the stone to motivate Mil. It's not like she controls him with it. It's like, remember your humble beginnings. Remember how you almost died as a child in the earthquake? I mean, that earthquake killed his parents. And he was left an orphan after the earthquake. And he picked the stone up as, pick himself up by the bootstraps and go on. That's kind of his thing. It's kind of like the Undertaker's urn. It's like where he gains his power from. It's not so much a controlling thing. That key is definitely controlling Matanza. That's it was like he's mesmerized and he followed him like a dog following a steak out of the arena. The Rock seems to be like motivation, it's similar, yet it seems different at the same time.
Yeah.
But I want to know, is this going to turn into some weird bromance between Mil Muertes and Phoenix? Because essentially Phoenix took his belt, but maybe gained his respect in the long run.
Maybe.
I mean,
or maybe Katrina's talked some sense into Mil Muertes since, I don't know.
Maybe because he didn't rip his head off. He could have attacked Phoenix. See,
because Phoenix was in no shape to fight.
Oh, I would have ripped his head off or booked it as such. But if they're booking it like respect earned is respect given kind of thing, I could see that making sense. I mean, they're not going to be friends. They're not going to be tag team champions anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I could see them being like on like a civil but respectful terms. Like,
Yeah.
you don't cross me, I won't cross you. We'll get along just fine.
Yeah. Another thing I do want to say before we move on to, I guess, just before we hover over NXT, they called the Mac the Lucha Ron Funches, which I loved because I'm a huge Ron Funches fan.
Yep.
And the only reason they said that was because he was sitting in the front row.
Exactly.
But they do look very similar, and it does make sense to call him the Lucha Ron Funches.
They both have the wild hair too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Matt, when the Mac picks his fro out, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. So I guess we can move on to, I guess we don't even really have to talk about NXT because all it really was the NXT TakeOver recap show, and it ended with the match that got moved from the main card to the dark match, and that was Apollo Crews versus homeless Damian Sandow.
I love it.
It was an okay match, but Apollo Crews won in like 10-12 minutes, and he's on the main roster now, when that's really all that, I mean, that was the thing.
And
they showed highlights of all the matches that took place at TakeOver, and then they showed the match that got moved.
Apollo Crews is on the main roster, and Fashionably Homeless will never be on the main roster.
Nope. And if he does, it'll be under a new gimmick because this one is awful.
He'll be on Superstars. Yeah. Now they had the post-match interview with Jordan and Gable. That was really cool.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because obviously
Jason Jordan could barely even speak because he was trying not to cry.
Got them over as the biggest crowd favorites, if they could even get over any bigger than they already were.
Other than Nakamura, them winning was the biggest pop of the night. In my opinion.
The absolute coolest part of this interview, in the background, you could hear A-Double's music playing, and I'm like, it's Austin Aries Part 2. It's like, yay, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're the ultimate baby faces, Jordan and Gable. But I don't know if it was just me having a bad day or being off my game a little bit, but I'm sitting there looking at Jason Jordan, and I'm like, I can see him being the worst asshole heel ever whenever he decides to turn. Like, you can just see it in his eyes. He's a natural born athlete. He's gonna play that I'm better than you gimmick. I'm more physically gifted than you.
Did you ever watch Breaking Ground?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, it's basically, all about NXT and, all the people coming up.
All I know is that
they talked about Jason Jordan a little bit. And he, behind the scenes, like, they were, like, there was one part where they were talking, or it was before Tyler Breeze was going to go out for a match. Yeah. Tyler Breeze and Jason Jordan were having a conversation, and Jason Jordan was just the biggest dick. Like, he was just making fun of everything about Tyler Breeze, like, and not in a, like, I'm a bad guy right now, and I'm going to stay in character. It seemed like it was a genuine, like,
Oh no,
like,
I've heard a lot about the Breaking Ground series, and I get the feeling not much of this was in character at all. Like, this was like legitimate day-to-day behind the scenes stuff. I did hear that Baron Corbin is a big fan of Chipotle.
Yeah, he is. He also likes to collect bones.
Oh, that's a serial killer.
Yeah,
somebody check that boy's crawl space.
Yeah. There's one part where I forgot what town they're in, but him and like some of his friends, they all like actual friends, like not like wrestler friends. They meet up and they go into like they go into this like dark store and that sells just a bunch of weird merchandise.
You mean he went to a Hot Topic?
Oh, well, yeah, kind of. But yeah, and he ended up buying like a mummified bat or something, or his friend might have done that. I don't remember.
This guy's a weirdo. I don't like him already.
But yeah, and he ended up buying like some sort of skull, like some. But yeah,
that makes his gimmick make so much more sense now. Like, he's the driest guy in the room who just banters about the dumbest stuff. It's like, go back to Ring of Honor. I never competed in Ring of Honor. Go back to wherever you came from.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things, was when he just yelled at Apollo Crews, go back to Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And he had never worked there.
I'm like, wait a second. Even I know he never went there. And I just found out about Apollo Crews 3 months ago.
Ooh-ha, nation.
And then Shinsuke Nakamura, he's speaking English. He's got a deep Japanese accent, but he's Japanese. What do you expect?
Well, that was one of the main reasons why when they signed him, kind of brought. I mean, granted, they were going to bring him up. They were going to debut him really quick anyway. But one of the upsides to him was that he can actually speak English.
Yeah. Well, that Funaki, SmackDown's number one announcer, was doing the translating for Nakamura, which he didn't really need to translate because he spoke English, but they translated to him. Which, if you can speak it, can't you understand it? The question that was asked of him wasn't that deep and complex. It was something like, "Are you excited to be here?" Like something simple.
Something like that, and then
it's like got strong style or something, you know?
Yeah, he cut off Funaki and said strong style has arrived.
Well, that was NXT, just a thrilling, fantastic program.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Nakamura is going to compete on a television show next week.
Ooh, that is true.
A match.
Him and Aries.
Oh Jesus! I think I'm gonna freak the fuck out next week.
Not against each other because that would just.
Oh Jesus Christ! Why not? Because that would get match of the week for sure.
Yeah, it'll probably end up being like Ty Dillinger versus Nakamura and Aries versus some enhancement guy. But I guess we can talk. I want to talk about SmackDown just for.
Go ahead, bro. I don't have nothing to say about this.
Yeah, and it's only like two or three things. Vaudevillains debuted to a lot of boos, and I don't know if that's just like, hey, we hate your gimmick, or if that's, hey, we actually know you're bad guys.
Now,
kind of thing.
Were they actually being booed, or did WWE go back in post production and add the boos?
It wouldn't surprise me either way.
It's already been proven that they go in and add cheers for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's
true. Embarrassing, by the way.
Yeah, and then also, speaking of Reigns, he's acting more heelish.
Is this the one where he patted AJ Styles on the shoulder and said, "Be a good boy and get in my ring," basically?
For the most part, yeah. He said, in order to be the guy, you have to beat the champ, and I'm the champ kind of thing. And
who got beaten 5 minutes and 15 seconds by freaking Sheamus 5 months ago, so yeah, you're a tough guy.
But yeah, what else? Oh, and this I just loved. It was Kevin Owens. The main event was AJ Styles and Cesaro versus Jericho and Owens.
Oh man.
And one of my favorite parts, and another reason why Kevin Owens is my favorite, Jericho was in the ring with, I think, AJ, and Jericho just ran. He dove under the bottom rope and just, started, throwing a hissy fit, and he grabbed the top of the announce table and just kind of threw it, and then he tried to throw the stairs, but they, how they kind of interlock and they don't really move, unless you put a lot of force behind it.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin Owens hopped down from where he was to go talk to Jericho and be like, hey, it's okay. And he walked over to the steps and just kind of casually picked them up and tossed them. And then he looked at Jericho and he pointed and he's like, there, I helped you out.
Kevin Owens is the best.
Yeah. But other than that, that's all I wanted to say about SmackDown. There was really nothing major other than the fact that Zack Ryder got screwed out of his rematch. I mean, they had their rematch and he got screwed over in the match and lost.
Oh, yeah. So apparently Maurice is back now full time?
Yeah. And I had no idea she had an accent.
She's French Canadian.
Yeah, I did not know that. Well, mainly because there was one time where I just kind of stopped watching just because I didn't have cable.
I don't know if she has any wrestling skill whatsoever, but she was Divas champion, not women's champion. I think Divas champion. But she didn't talk a whole lot.
Yeah, this was when I didn't have cable, so I didn't really get to watch wrestling that much. I just kind of kept up with it online.
Yeah. You weren't missing much. You weren't missing much at all.
But yeah, I missed the whole Nexus angle. I was kind of been catching up on that throughout the years, but yeah. I had no idea she had an accent because she came out after Zack Ryder to introduce The Miz, and she started speaking French, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's just her way. They were in Houston, in Texas, so maybe that was kind of a heel thing to be like, oh, well, I'm too, I don't know. But then she started saying regular words, and they had an accent, and I was like, wait, what? It just surprised me.
Okay, then before we move on to our new segment called Wrestling Time Machine, let me get you up to speed on some things. Okay. She is French Canadian. She did the whole reverse Eddie Guerrero thing. He would do the Spanish and English. She would mix in French and English. She would kind of do that from time to time. But she
Okay.
didn't speak a whole lot, and if she did, I think I just didn't hear the words because I was staring at her. But
Yeah.
I don't know, that whole time period of 2008 to 2011 was like the shittiest episodes of Raw ever. It makes these episodes look really bad. Or should I say, these episodes now make those look legendary.
Yeah.
But that was still some bad stuff. When it comes to the Nexus angle, watch the opening night when they...
Yeah, I saw that whenever they showed up and tore everything.
And then watch the...
And Daniel Bryan choked Justin Roberts and immediately got fired.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Chris Benoit. Because choking people with a tie used to be okay until you murdered your whole family.
Yeah.
Watch the first month and a half and then stop because it got really bad really fast.
Speaking of Matt Stryker, I don't mean to bring up bad memories, but I was watching, I think it was SummerSlam, like 2011 or something, whenever it was the whole,
The Team SmackDown versus Team John, or Team NXT versus Team John Cena?
I did watch that, only because I started watching the Daniel Bryan collection on the network. But it was, I want to say it was later in the year, it might have been like Survivor Series or something. It was Randy Orton, he was the champion, against Wade Barrett, and John Cena was the special guest referee.
Oh, and if John Cena...
If Randy Orton won, then John Cena was fired.
Yeah, okay.
And one of my favorite things was John Cena helped Randy Orton win, and right whenever John Cena, like, he counted the 3, you hear Matt Stryker say, "Cena's free!" And then Michael Cole says, "No, he's not, he's fired." And he's like, and then Matt Stryker's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." See, Matt Stryker's so terrible.
I used to like him. He had potential, and then he went and ruined it by being a douchebag. Like, I understand if Vince McMahon's gonna yell in your ear relentlessly, it's gonna beat you down to some point. But as excited as I got, and as much as I loved it at the time, in retrospect, looking back, you can't yell, "I'm marking out, bro," when Diesel enters the Royal Rumble. You can't do that. It's not a good idea. You probably should think twice before you use some of the words you use. Fuck you, Matt Stryker. You're a horrible human being. Fuck you.
All right, let's move on to our newest segment.
Okay.
And I'll let you take over. This was your idea.
It's called Wrestling Time Machine, and essentially I'm going to give you 2 things that happened. And they're not always going to be this closely related to each other, like the time period wise, but I'm going to try to keep them same time period, maybe the same company, maybe rival companies, but around the same time. And I'm going to 2 actual events that had an impact on the business, not like, oh, well, Fandango beat, Curtis Axel on Superstars. Would you change that? Like, no, I'm talking like stuff that had a legitimate impact on a company or on the history of the business, something along those lines.
Or on like one particular wrestler.
Yeah, or a whole angle that could have gone, whatever, however we choose to go this. And then it's going to be, of the facts I gave you or whatever, what would you, if you had a time machine and you can go back and say, stop, I'm from the future, what would you change? But the thing is, theoretically, if you had a time machine, you could change both of them.
Yeah, you can go back
You're
and change
only allowed
both,
to change one, just for argument's sake, you can only change one.
Gun to your head, you only pick one.
And if you pick the wrong one, you get shot. No.
Exactly.
You can only change one for argument's sake. So, December 19th of 1999 was the Starrcade pay-per-view for WCW. Arguably not their finest moment, but it was, the main event was to be Bret Hart defending the world title against Goldberg. And I should probably look this up a little closer. I think the week before on Nitro, Bret Hart officially joined the NWO. I think, or maybe this was like the next night.
Or roughly around the same time.
No, I think it was the next night because the match ended with Roddy Piper was the special guest referee, or the referee got knocked out and he became the referee. But however it was, Bret Hart locked Goldberg in the sharpshooter, and Roddy Piper, who acting as the referee, called for the bell. Bill Goldberg did not tap out. Bret Hart did not make him submit. Roddy
Mm-hmm.
Piper, you could hear him on commentary talking, not on commentary, but through the camera, you could hear him talking to Bret Hart, and it was something about, this is a makeup for 1997. Like, they were directly making up for the Survivor Series screw job. It had happened 2 years and 1 month exactly since Survivor Series. This was December of 99, and that had happened in November of 97. I think the commentators even said, oh, they're making good for Montreal. Like, they acknowledged the screw job on television.
Yeah.
Which, it was a shitty ending. It should have never happened. During the match, though, Goldberg mule kicked Bret Hart in the side of the head and gave him a legit concussion. The first of many he would have. Or actually, no, not even the first of many. One of many that he had up to that point, and then he would have several more going forward. The concussions, as we know, ultimately forced Bret Hart to retire. He didn't last but maybe 2 more weeks actually wrestling. Then they quickly phased him out, took the belt off of him, and he made sporadic appearances throughout the year 2000, and then he officially retired in, I want to say, August of 2000. 4 days later, Bill Goldberg, who, and this was, I think, the next night when Bret Hart joined the NWO, because I think he had said that he didn't want to win the belt like that, and he vacated it. And they had a match on Nitro the next night where he gave Goldberg basically a rematch, essentially, and the winner would be the world champion. Well, the NWO, or the Outsiders, came down and attacked Goldberg, and that's when Bret Hart officially joined the NWO. 4 days later, in Angle's Shot 4 Thunder, Goldberg was chasing the NWO out of the arena. They got into a limousine, and he proceeded to beat the shit out of this limousine. He had a metal plate in his wristband, or whatever. He was busted out the windshield. He busted out the driver's side mirror, or a window. He was going down the line, breaking every single window. Kind of got a little greedy when he got to the 4th window. He punched through it, and then punched through it, and then bashed it with his wrist. And then he looked at his wrist, and you could see he was bleeding right away. I guess the plate must have shifted, or the window wasn't like replaced by a gimmick window. I don't exactly know why he hurt himself, but he gashed his right wrist badly. He went back to the hood, and he basically Hulk smashed the hood, and you could see this big old puddle of blood on the hood. And from there, he missed 5 months of action. He didn't come back until May of that year. He had a match scheduled for the January 4th Tokyo Dome show in New Japan. He had to miss that because of his injury. Basically, Goldberg was still pretty over as a face at the time. Still getting good reactions from the crowd. They broke the streak the year earlier. I mean, WCW as a whole wasn't doing well, but Goldberg was still way over. When he came back in May, he essentially attacked Kevin Nash and turned heel. He joined the New Blood, which made absolutely no sense. He joined up with Vince Russo, or well, hey, I don't know. That was a whole convoluted mess of crap for WCW. And that basically, that 5-month period cooled him off. When he came back, he didn't get the crowd reaction he was getting in January when he hurt himself. I pose this question to you. After all of that, if you're still following, kudos to you. What would you change? Bret Hart being kicked in the head and therefore being forced to essentially retire? Which, who knows the impact he could have had during the invasion angle, or the impact he could have had in 2000 and helped WCW maybe stay alive a little bit longer.
Yep.
Because he wasn't being booked well at the time anyway. Or Goldberg, would you have him not injure himself foolishly, miss 5 months of action, and essentially kill his character dead when he came back?
I'm gonna go. I would go back. I would go back in time and tell Goldberg, don't you dare kick Bret Hart in the head. Because yes, that did cause him to have a concussion, but didn't it give him a stroke?
He had the stroke in 2002 after a motorcycle accident.
Oh, okay.
I think in Italy. But he had been long retired before he had the stroke. Now, I'm not
Gotcha.
saying that
Okay.
his neurological
great.
issues from the concussion didn't lead to the
Yeah.
stroke. I mean, that probably
Yeah, I mean,
did.
definitely. I mean, everything that I read was like, oh, well, his kick led, Bret Hart to
Probably
have this
probably
stroke and
could
all this
have.
stuff. Yeah. And granted, I know weird things happen in the ring, and wrestlers always get concussions, but yeah, I think I would go back and yeah, definitely change that because having Bret Hart retire early or way before he would want to, as opposed to Goldberg missing 5 months. Yes, he did come back and his character was shit, but I think I would much rather have Bret Hart wrestle for, God knows how many more years, as opposed to, oh, hey, Goldberg's going to miss, this summer kind of thing. So
Okay.
for me, I would pick him super kicking Bret Hart. I would definitely change that.
Yeah, initially I'm like, well, basically
I mean,
the
both
injury
suck.
killed Goldberg dead because when he came back, he turned heel. I don't think a single wrestling fan who watched WCW wanted to hate Goldberg. He was getting weirder than John Cena crowd reactions. Like it wasn't even half and half. It was half of us just don't even give a shit, so we're gonna stay quiet. The other half were like, boo. We don't know what to
Yeah.
think of you. We're confused. Why are you
Mhm.
doing this? He only lasted until January of 2001 anyway because he had I don't even fucking want to talk about it, but it was basically an angle where Vince Russo told Goldberg, if you can't recreate your streak of 173-0, the next time you lose, you're fired. And it was a screw job finish, and he got fired at Sin in 2001.
And wasn't it like the very next week he showed up on Raw?
No, he didn't show up on Raw until 2003. Because he was one of the holdouts of the Time Warner contract thing where he could have taken the money or he could have traded in his WCW contract for a WWE contract. But him, Hogan, Nash, and a few of the other guys were like, you know what? We're going to stay at home and get paid the money we were going to get paid by Time Warner, and we're not going to wrestle.
Gotcha.
But
I just remember they made a big deal about it, and then the first night Goldberg showed up, he attacked The Rock.
yeah, he came in 2003, the night after WrestleMania, I think, or a couple of nights after. But anyway, I originally was going to go with that because 5 months off, it kills your character. But no, the more I think about it, I would probably say long term, the kick to Bret Hart would probably be the one I would change because I think he had a concussion a couple of weeks earlier. He put Goldberg in a not sharpshooter, but a figure four around the ring post, and he banged his head on the floor, and he got a concussion from that. And then he never let himself recover, and he got a second concussion. I think the kick to the head was the third concussion that he had, within a couple of weeks. But that was a really bad concussion because it was basically a legit shoot kick to the face. He didn't pull back at all, Goldberg did, and he hit Hart full force with the kick. I would change that because WCW was still going to die. They're still going to go out. There was no saving him at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, and I've heard this speculated on other podcasts, but I'm thinking maybe Bret Hart and Vince McMahon kiss and make up during the invasion angle, and Bret Hart comes in to work the invasion angle because there weren't many stars that actually worked they had to turn Kurt Angle and Steve Austin to even make the Alliance a legit, competitor to the WWF.
Yeah, exactly.
DDP and Chris Kanyon were the two top guys that stuck around, and they were made weak very, very fast. And they already weren't big stars to begin with because, honestly, no WCW star was going to be allowed to get over. But if you get Bret Hart, who legitimately left the company to go work for your competitor, you can buy the fact that, maybe he kicks Vince McMahon in the balls on Raw in May and says, I'm staying with WCW.
Yeah.
But then rides the fence, or maybe he actually sides with the Alliance. He's a full-fledged member of WCW, and he's trying to put an end to the company that screwed him over 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember, that Alliance storyline ran its course at Survivor Series. That was the 5-on-5 Brawl for It All or Winner Take All match. instead of Kurt Angle being the one to turn on the alliance and help the WWF, maybe Bret Hart is in that role. And he makes good with his former employer at Survivor Series, where it all comes full circle.
Yep.
What could have been if he hadn't been forced to retire due to a concussion? And maybe since they were booking him so poorly, maybe he would have been off TV anyway in 3 months.
Yep.
Has time to recover. Doesn't have the stroke in 2002. Maybe he has a good match with Vince McMahon at a WrestleMania sooner than WrestleMania 30 or 26.
Mm-hmm.
Could have done a lot of things differently.
Yeah.
Maybe he has that match with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 22. Or maybe he has that match at WrestleMania 19. Instead of Hulk Hogan having the match, maybe Bret Hart gets that spot. Because that was, 2 years after the Invasion thing ran its course. That was 18 was the first WrestleMania after, then 19 would have been the second one. Yeah. Maybe he has the match with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 18 in Canada, in Toronto. They could have done so many different things if Bret Hart had still been healthy, but unfortunately he wasn't. So I'm going to go with don't kick Bret Hart in the head, you jackass.
Yeah, exactly.
And Goldberg, if you ever hear this, I don't mean jackass in a mean way. I mean jackass in a playful way, like Stone Cold used to say it.
Yeah.
He's still going to kick my ass.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're a dead man.
Yeah. Won't be around for episode 7, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you've had time to think about this, but our last wrestling-related segment, as we normally end on, is Wrestler and Match of the Week.
Are you asking me?
If you have an answer, then what is yours? But if you don't, then I've got mine.
I gotta ask a question before I answer. Does Match of the Week have to have happened this week?
I picked mine from Raw.
Okay.
And we didn't cover Raw.
I don't remember Raw. Okay, my Wrestler of the Week. See, okay, honorable mention goes to Kaz and Enzo for 2 reasons. Had a great debut on Raw, and I'm digging the Stone Cold podcast where they're just being real people. They're not in character. They're just 2 guys being interviewed by Stone Cold before the NXT show. Honorable mention goes to them. My Wrestler of the Week is Jay Lethal because he cut a heck of a promo on Ring of Honor TV last week. Had a really cool neck and back brace television little spot on the Ring of Honor show that airs every week.
Every week.
Love that commercial. And he had a really cool segment on the Cabana podcast where I kind of felt like I got to know him a little bit as a person, not just a wrestler. Even though that podcast was released a month ago. I just listened to it this week.
No, that works. That works.
I don't have a match of the week from anything that happened on NXT or SmackDown or Lucha because the shows really weren't that great. So
it was kinda
I'm just going to default to the Sami Zayn Nakamura match from Friday. I just it's kind of a cop out, but I don't have a match worth giving praise to this week.
That works.
And you, who is your Wrestler of the Week, and what is your Wrestling Match of the Week?
I have a couple honorable mentions. Like you, I also have Cass and Enzo. But another honorable mention I have is AJ Styles because he won the match that put him as the number 1 contender. And I wrote down the reason he's honorable mention is, yes, he won the number 1 contender match for the WWE Heavyweight title, but now he has the task of trying to make Roman Reigns look good.
Make him look strong.
Yeah, exactly. But my Wrestler of the Week is I'm going Apollo Crews because I wasn't expecting to see him on Monday Night Raw, and I was pretty excited to see him because I've always liked him. Like I kind of caught the tail end of his indie run, like when he was Uhaa Nation, and whenever he signed to NXT. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with him for my wrestler, and then my match of the week, I'm gonna go with the Fatal 4-Way main event on Raw. I just think it was cool to see,
Cesaro back too.
Cesaro back. Owens, AJ, and I'm not a big Jericho fan, but it was cool to see all 4 of those guys in the ring at once.
You know how I feel about Chris Jericho.
No fly list.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and comply with your match of the week, and I'm gonna go ahead and agree. Yeah, I changed it. That once you mentioned the AJ Styles winning the match, I thought, oh yeah, that match did happen on Monday, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. So yeah, since it's technically this calendar week, I'm gonna go with that match too.
That works. That works.
However, I want to add something before we close.
Go on.
Cesaro came back, but has the same lame music.
The music doesn't bother me. It's the fact that his on Monday he did the whole, showed up in a suit and ripped it off.
Yeah.
Apparently that's his new thing because he did it on SmackDown too.
Good, because when he was in Ring of Honor, he used to wear a full suit to the ring. When him and Hero first got
Chris Jericho.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Jericho's brother. No, but when they first got together as a tag team, and I think it's actually on one of their Glory by Honor pay-per-views or one of their old shows from 2006. He had a ponytail and like the weirdest bald spot I ever saw, and he wore a full suit to the ring, and he took the longest time getting those suit pants off his boots. Like, he couldn't get the pants off. And could you imagine if he had that on Raw and couldn't get the pants off? Vince McMahon would never, ever let him forget that / live that one down.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be buried the next week. So having a tearaway suit, hey, you know what? That's an old gimmick of his. Go for it. I like it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm classy, yet I'm going to kick your ass at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. When you have a business meeting at 7, but you have a match at 7:30.
Because we all know in WWE, all of their board of directors meetings happen during episodes of Raw.
Yep.
It's been that way since the beginning of time.
Yep. Well, that does it for our wrestling portion of this podcast. But before we end this, we here at the Wrestling Supershow podcast would like to take this time to say that we are huge superhero fans, and we are so stoked for Captain America Civil War.
Boo Iron Man. Yay, Captain America.
We are less than a month away from the theatrical release. And now they have been showing early screenings, and some of the things that I've read online, they can't say anything spoilers or else they're going to get sued. They've been very vague with it. They said this is the best, or some people have said this is the best Marvel movie ever.
Which is high praise because Avengers was great. Age of Ultron was great. The last Captain America was really good.
Yeah.
The first Hulk, pretty bad.
Yeah. The airport fight scene is phenomenal. That's what people are saying.
Oh.
Also, people are surprised at how much Spider-Man is in the movie.
Oh my god.
They're saying that Peter Parker is only in it for like 10 minutes, but Spider-Man is in it for like 20 to 25 minutes.
Yay.
Yeah.
And I love the new suit. They're going throwback to the comic book, which is great.
They're going throwback to like the 1960s.
Yes.
Which is awesome. But yeah, what's today? April 10th? Yeah, it comes out on May 6th. So yeah, I'm super pumped.
And all I can say is it's already a plus with no Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Also, I read online, I read on Facebook, the Russo brothers who are directing, they directed, not Vince Russo and his brother.
Wow.
Yeah, it would have been a shit movie.
Yeah.
They directed The Winter Soldier. They're also directing this one. They're also directing the Infinity War movies.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And what gets me excited is that they officially came out and said that Thor and, if I can find it, I don't want to say the wrong information. Comicbook.com.
I'm so excited right now.
Russo brothers confirm Star-Lord and Thor are going to be in Infinity War. Yep. So Guardians
Star-Lord.
Guardians are gonna,
Woo.
their Guardians are gonna be crossing over.
Now here's
So
what I want to say about that. At the end of Ultron, people, if you haven't seen it, it's not a spoiler. It's been out for a year. If you haven't seen Age of Ultron, turn off the podcast in 5, 4. Come back next week in 3, 2, 1. Okay, at the end of Age of Ultron, they show the new Avenger team, which I told you this because I was told this by the internet, who was told this by Joss Whedon. He filmed a scene to alternate ending of Ultron where Quicksilver is not dead. I can't find this goddamn scene anywhere. They said it was on the Blu-ray release. I own the Blu-ray release, and goddammit, I cannot find it anywhere.
yeah, not on there.
I've Googled it. I've gone everywhere. I cannot find. He's dead in canon, so he's not coming back unless they swerve us. Unless it really is Vince Russo and they swerve us.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just want to see it. Like, I want to see this scene, and I can't find it. But this was a revelation I had within the past week. Just because Scarlet Witch and the War Machine and Captain America and Vision are the new Avengers team doesn't mean Thor and Iron Man and Hulk can't make an appearance and play around in the universe a little bit. In fact, since I did tweet something on our account, it was an updated list of the upcoming Marvel Phase 3 and 4 movies. They have 3 untitled Marvel films set for 2020. But until that point, they have no more Hulk films announced. And I heard originally when Ruffalo signed on, he was going to have several projects as the Hulk. He so far has had 2. That tells me that he's either going to make an appearance in Civil War, which is probably not going to happen now, or Infinity War 1 and 2.
He's already said that he's going to be in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, thank God. Because that's what I'm thinking. He's got to make an appearance somewhere. Maybe one of those 3 untitled films are a new Hulk film, like a Planet Hulk, or a Hulk.
Well, that's what he was saying. Like he wants to do a Planet Hulk movie, but nobody, or not nobody wants to do it, but I don't know if he's tried talking people into it, but apparently there's a lot of people that don't want it to happen or something. I'm
not familiar with the Planet Hulk, universe per se.
Yeah.
Doesn't he sort of find himself on another Earth or some other planet where he fights something or someone?
Something like that. They made an animated movie about it, and I know they have the comics too, but that's something I haven't gotten around to reading yet.
Because when he took off in that Quinjet at the end of Ultron, I'm thinking that'd have been the perfect time to do a Planet Hulk. Because those things can go into space. They are space capable. And he's the Hulk. Yeah. He's not going to suffocate. Maybe he, because he's on the run. He wants to go into hiding every chance he can get. I thought that would have been the perfect time to do a spin-off Planet Hulk or something where he does his own project, like on the side somewhere, but it's not scheduled and it's not going to happen for at least 4 more years. So, but getting back to the Civil War thing, yeah, obviously you can't have 500 superheroes in one movie. And
the Russo brothers said there's going to be like 65 to 70.
Oh, I in this movie?
Yeah. They're not in Civil War, in Infinity War.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, because they showed Civil War versus what really happened in the comic book, and that fight scene between Captain America and Iron Man.
The thing is, it's like half the Marvel Universe versus the other half of the Marvel Universe.
Of what's been revealed so far, yeah. But I'm not even bothered that they don't have as many superheroes as they do in the comic book for this Civil War. It's like, you can't do 500 superheroes having a legit Civil War.
Yeah.
You're giving us Spider-Man. You're giving us more Captain America. I'm cool with what you're giving us.
You're introducing freaking Black Panther.
Oh, thank God. And you know what? The Falcon's gonna be in it, which is cool, and you're gonna have Ant-Man, which is gonna be cool. Yeah. We're gonna get like 10 superheroes, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I don't know if you'd consider Winter Soldier a superhero just yet. I know in some of the comic books he becomes Captain America after Steve Rogers dies in some of the different incarnations of the series, but
there's one series where Bucky or Winter Soldier becomes the new Captain America. There's another series where the Falcon becomes the new Captain America.
Which set the internet on fire whenever they revealed in Ultron that all the characters die in the movie, and I'm like, what? That was just Iron Man's like heat related like fantasy where he's kind of like hallucinating. Or
Yeah,
he sees
yeah.
all
When
his people dead.
Scarlet Witch is playing mind tricks with him.
Boy, that was only just a teaser scene, like, and everybody thinks, oh my god, they're killing the Avengers. What the hell?
Yeah, and then at Comic-Con they revealed they brought the broken in half Captain America shield, and they didn't tell anyone what it was.
Oh my god.
So they were just fucking with people.
I can't wait. And Ragnarok is 2017.
Yep, next year.
I went to Wikipedia because I don't know what Thor Ragnarok is, and I was telling you this off the podcast a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That storyline is wickedly fucking awesome. They cloned Thor, and evil Thor fights good Thor after good Thor is like banished from like Asgard. Like
all I want is Beta Ray Bill. That's all I want. Beta Ray Bill. He's a character. He's an Asgardian. He's a god, but he's got the face of a horse. And one of the cool things is there's a cartoon series on Netflix. I don't know if you've watched it. It's called Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I have it in my queue, but I have not yet gotten around to it.
It is so good because they introduce a lot of characters, and there's actually a lot of scenes from, I don't know if the directors got it from the show or if the show got it from the movies kind of thing, but like there's one scene where they have the Hulk on like this giant like mountain, and it's like a snowy mountain, and he gets so upset, and he just screams and hits the ground, and all of a sudden causes an avalanche, and then you see the shadow in like this piece of ice, like a figure, and it was a deleted scene on one of the Marvel movies. I think it was The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
It was a deleted scene, and if you pause it at the right time, you can see the Captain America shield and just a black figure.
Ooh.
Like a silhouette. And as I'm watching, I want to say it's like episode 3 or 4 or something of Earth's Mightiest Heroes, that scene is in the show.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, either they got it from the show or the show got it from them. Either way, it's awesome. But yeah, I highly recommend watching it.
Yeah, I just watched Iron Man 2. It was on TV last night, and the Iron Man movies, Iron Man 3 was crap, but it was still necessary for storyline.
Because they progressively got, not worse, but they weren't as good as the first one.
The first one was really good. Second one was good.
The first one took me forever to get into, because to me it started way too slow.
The weird thing was, I can't think of his name right now, the actor who played Obadiah Stane.
Was it Jeff Bridges?
Yeah. I'm like, I was on a bus ride from Arkadelphia, Arkansas to somewhere in North Alabama for a football game. I was a graduate assistant for a Division II team up there a couple years ago when the movie first came out. We're watching the movie on the bus ride to Alabama because we don't take planes in Division II football. We take buses.
Yeah.
We're watching Iron Man 2, and I was like, Iron Man. I'm like, this is fucking awesome, Iron Man. And 3/4 of the movie, I'm like, oh my, that's fucking Jeff Bridges. What the? Because he was bald.
Jeff Bridges.
He was bald and had the beard, and for the life of me, I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I was like,
yeah.
Oh my God, that's Jeff Bridges. And I had like a mark out moment on the bus. I had to keep it quiet so I didn't get yelled at by any of the coaches. But Iron Man 2 wasn't bad. I do love the scene where he's trying to make the new chess piece, and he has like the kind of broken up Captain America shield, like his dad had made it. But I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Because in storyline, Captain America was the next movie in the story, was them finding him in the ice, which was kind of cool. But
yeah,
they cloned Thor. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for them to clone Thor.
But yeah, going back to the cartoon show, you mentioned Thor, and that brought me back to, I forgot what I was talking about. There's an episode where it's all about Thor, and they introduce his character Beta Ray Bill as because Thor had never seen him before, and something happens. They're having this fight, and Beta Ray Bill picks up Thor's hammer, and Thor's like, "Holy shit! Like, what just happened?" And that's when he realizes that he's also Asgardian and that they shouldn't be fighting, and they basically become best friends. And
okay,
Yeah, he's an Asgardian god basically, but he's got the head of a horse, and he looks pretty cool. I want them to introduce him somehow.
I'm very excited to see how the third season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wraps up in the next couple. I would assume they're going to wrap it up in the next couple of weeks. Because
Yeah, I'm still a couple episodes behind,
in-
especially that Flash, Arrow. I'm way behind.
they're in the second half of the third season now, but they usually like to wrap it up around the time of the
Right.
next Marvel movie. And
Yeah.
like they kind
Or
of
at least take a mini break right around the time.
yeah, but mostly the spring movies is usually the end of their season because they usually start in the winter, and they'll take a winter break like everybody else does.
Yeah.
But they wrapped up the second season, or should I say the first season, like the 17th episode was the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then that kind of the last 5 episodes were, I guess, the picking up the pieces and trying to figure out who they can trust and who they can't trust.
Yeah, and that mini break led into the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they came back. Season 2 it's all been S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hydra from that point forward until now.
Yeah.
Which I loved over James Olmos. That was pretty cool. Having him on the episode, like 5-episode loop that he did. I'm excited to see how they're going to wrap up the third season to go into, because right now they're doing the whole Inhuman thing, and they've been doing that since middle of season 2, where they've kind of Inhumans are joining Hydra, Inhumans are joining S.H.I.E.L.D. Some of them are staying neutral, because I know they're having the Inhumans movie in 2018, right?
18, 19, something like that.
Yeah, I know it's a couple of years off. I don't know if they're going to keep stretching this Inhumans thing out, but that seems to be like, I don't know where they go from here. It's like the next Marvel movie is Thor, which usually they do some part of the show. They'll incorporate whatever movie's coming up next.
Yeah, well, technically the next one besides this one is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
That one comes out in November.
Because they did name drop him
on Tuesday. Yeah, they name dropped him in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
When they were on the rooftop and they said, you know, guys like you, Stephen Strange. But yeah, on Tuesday night on the Jimmy Kimmel, Benedict Cumberbatch is one of the guests, and he's going to debut the first. I don't know if it's a teaser trailer or the first official trailer.
You're telling me Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock is Doctor Strange?
Yep.
Oh my God! Because I've been saying for about 3 years now he should be the next James Bond. Like, tell me you kind of. I know you're probably not. Are you a James Bond fan at all? Do you follow the series at all?
I've watched them, but I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't hate them.
He's a British spy. Half of these men have been from England. The other half were Irish, Scottish, and Dutch. I mean, I'm just wow. That's cool. Doctor Strange is going to be Sherlock.
I'll send you some pictures or something, but he looks exactly like Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is also Khan from Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, this is so cool. But I don't know much about the character. I've been meaning to like kind of get into like the story and kind of Google and kind of see, because I know nothing about Doctor Strange. I know nothing about a couple of the fringe movies that are coming out here, both DC and Marvel. Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with many of these characters. It's like everybody knows the Hulk, Superman, Captain America, Batman, and the ones that always get the most publicity, but I've really got to get into these like fringe characters.
Mm-hmm.
Although, and this is a complete departure from Marvel altogether, I watched a video. It was like the 10 Easter eggs from Batman vs Superman, which, okay, I'm sorry. You've had a month and a half to see the movie. There's going to be some spoilers. If you're still listening and you're pissed off at me for spoiling Age of Ultron, you better turn the podcast off now, or you're probably never going to listen again. Mm-hmm. They showed that scene where Batman was basically having a fever dream, probably, or he drank too much and fell asleep at his desk. He fell asleep, and he had the vision of, I guess it was post-apocalyptic America.
The nightmare scene.
Yeah, where those flying creatures, and I forget the bad guy, but they showed a clip from the comic series.
They showed the Omega symbol for Darkseid.
Darkseid, okay.
And then the flying creatures are the parademons that Darkseid creates.
Because they did show
as like his workers.
We're sitting there, and I didn't know this until last night when I saw the video. I was sitting there watching the movie, and my girlfriend looks over and goes, "What the fuck is this shit? Like, what the fuck is going on?" I'm like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. Batman's like a vigilante, which he's already a vigilante. He's infiltrating this Superman like security guards because they had the S on their shoulder.
Yeah, they had the the Superman logo.
What are these flying? Are these the things from Geonosis and the Attack of the Clones? What's going on here?
If you get the chance, I don't know if it's on Netflix or not. Go watch Justice League War.
Okay.
Because that's basically what I think the Justice League movie is going to be.
But this YouTube video, they showed the clips from the comic book because Zack Snyder, apparently he's real big into the comic books and trying to make everything flow from the comic book into the movie.
Well, the movie didn't flow. I'll just say
No,
that.
it didn't, and he killed Jimmy Olsen in like 5 minutes.
In like 12 seconds. That was terrible.
But I didn't get the whole thing. Jimmy Olsen was a CIA spy, like a CIA goof or something. I'm like, what? God, huh?
Yeah, and he was built like he was jacked.
Yeah, I'm like
Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen's like a redhead, he's like a scrawny ginger.
He's a nerd with like a camera around his neck. But they showed the Dark Side character. They showed the Death Demon Creep. What do you call them?
The Parademons.
And then they showed the animated series, Batman Superman crossover series.
Mm-hmm.
They showed the Parademons and Doomsday. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Because for a second there, knowing absolutely nothing, I was like, who the fuck? What's going on here? Is this like, what is Batman drinking? Like, he is really, really having a bad dream.
Yeah. Then
they explain it via this video, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense. That could be an enemy in Justice League or the next Batman movie because, they have Suicide Squad before Justice League, I believe.
Yeah, Suicide Squad comes out in August.
And then I think Justice League is 2017, correct? Part 1 at least?
Yep. Part 1 is next year.
Wonder Woman is going to precede Justice League in 2017.
And what I don't get is that, I guess I kind of get it, but at the same time I don't. Wonder Woman storyline takes place before Batman vs Superman.
That's cool. I mean, they have to.
I mean, it's got to do an origin.
Linda Carter was the last Wonder Woman, and that was like 1970s.
Yeah, it was back.
This generation does not have an origin story for Wonder Woman, so I don't give a shit. I don't even like Wonder Woman as it is. She's not an Amazon. I'm gonna say this many more times in the future. I don't like the character. I like the actress, but not the character. Well, however, she's not an Amazon. She doesn't look like Wonder Woman. She's not taller than Superman. Superman's taller than her in the movie. It doesn't really make much sense how they were from the comic books and the animated series. That whole movie didn't flow. Again,
nope.
It's a central theme here. And then, going back to the Doomsday, Lex Luthor said in the jail cell, he's coming. Hey, they were really heavily favoring Doomsday as the next bad guy. They're also saying Brainiac.
You mean Darkseid?
I keep saying Doomsday. Why do I keep saying Doomsday?
Because Doomsday was the main villain in this one.
That's how bad this movie was. It's completely got my thought process jumbled. Actually, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It was just 30 minutes way too long.
Did you see the deleted scene that they released?
Zack Snyder, maybe?
Zack Snyder released a deleted scene, and it shows like some military going into the ship where Lex where he created Doomsday, and when they show up, Lex is just in that liquid, but now it's like blood.
Yeah, because he cut his hand open and put his DNA into it.
Yeah, and now it's like all blood.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, not just like like a small puddle or something. But whenever the military get in there, you look and there's like this metal figure that Lex is like staring at, like an actual like being. And the only reason I know this is because I just read the Earth 2 graphic novels. That figure, I'll try and find it and I'll send it to you on Twitter or something. is Steppenwolf, who is basically Darkseid's right-hand man.
Okay.
So they said the reason that was a deleted scene was because, one, it wouldn't have made sense to the movie, like, to throw it in.
No, it wouldn't have, and it's too obvious.
Yeah, and two, it would have given away so much, like, for the upcoming.
I mean, I didn't
like,
know who
the
Darkseid
movie.
was until a couple days ago, because, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm just finding out all the significance of the scene where he's fighting the Superman bodyguards, I guess you would say, and he gets captured and all that.
Yeah.
I did see the Omega symbol, and I thought, what's the what does that mean? There's got to be something to that. Like, Alpha, Omega, obviously beginning, end. I'm like, this is the end of something, because then they went back and said it's because Lois Lane dies and Superman just loses his shit, basically. He goes on a rampage after she dies, because that's like her world, his world. But I'm like, there's got to be some significance to this. And now I see the significance, and I'm not really a DC person. I had never been too big into the DC universe outside of some Superman and a lot of Batman. So a lot of this is still new to me, and I'm still trying to get my head around it all. But I'm very excited for the Justice League.
Yeah, I'm excited for everything that's coming out of
just so we can
the Batman vs Superman
get it
movies.
over with. Because if this is gonna suck half as bad as Batman vs Superman did, I don't want to sit through that.
Well, the thing that I hate about it is, like, the one reason I wasn't really a fan, like, granted, Batman vs Superman wasn't a bad movie, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a terrible movie.
And
It was
I
too
think
long,
it's more
for one.
And yeah, they tried to fit way too many storylines into a 2.5-hour movie.
Exactly. You had two major characters. You were telling the story from two different perspectives, and then you threw a third character halfway through the movie. It's like you had three major superheroes in the same movie with a major villain, or two major villains, or major minor, depending on how you look at Doomsday.
Yeah.
There was just too many personalities in one movie, which, hey, Marvel does it right. Marvel's been doing it right for years with the multiple personalities and multiple characters.
And that's one thing that was another comment that people were saying about Civil War, is that there may be a shit ton of people, like, characters in Civil War, but they make it work.
And
because it's technically a Captain America movie, so it's going to be very Captain America heavy, which makes sense.
Captain America 3 and Iron Man 3.5, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah. You said there's going to be like 90 characters in Infinity War.
There's going to be a lot.
The way Marvel does their stuff, that movie could literally be 3 hours, and I wouldn't care.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm sure it won't be like all like 70 or however many it is, like, in like one movie.
But they've got a part 2 also the next year, so.
Yeah, so it's going to be basically 5 hours if you take each movie basically around 2.5 hours each. So that's roughly 4 to 5 hours. You can make it work.
Yeah.
And they've made it work so
I
far.
want them to make it 5 hours the first time and 5 hours the part 2. I want to see 90 superheroes go up against Thanos. Like, because.
And one thing that I do like
they're going to kill a bunch of people in a couple of years from now. A lot of people are going to die.
Yeah. One thing that they did announce was, like, next year is Justice League Part 1, and then in 2019 is Justice League Part 2. So you have to wait 2 years to find the ending, to the first Justice League.
Yeah.
But Infinity War Part 1 comes out in 2018. Part 2 comes out in 2019. So you don't have to wait that long. You have to wait a year. Which granted, I mean, yes, it is a year, but still, I'd rather wait a year than 2 years.
But it makes sense that way, because they've already done like 1 trillion individual Avenger movies. They've also done 2 Avenger group movies. And they're having a couple of more individual movies. Like, they're having the Captain America this next month. Next year they're having Guardians 2, which...
Guardians 2, Thor 3.
They're going to play a role in some fashion. The Guardians are going to have to cross over.
And I did read that Kevin Feige, who is the Marvel head,
second favorite human being on planet Earth.
I want to say a while ago he said that he wants that. You know how they're doing all the Netflix series?
Yes, I very much do.
Yeah, he said he wants those characters to be in the movies too.
Okay, I got sidetracked. I wanted to talk about those Marvel Netflix series. I watched Daredevil season 2, and
I haven't finished.
I
I'll
enjoyed it.
preface
How far have you?
it.
How far have you gotten?
I'm only a couple episodes in.
Okay,
I've been meaning to watch it. I've just been school and work. It's just kind of
then I
taken
won't.
over.
I told you I wouldn't speak of the Punisher until you got there. Or
Well, I know he had. I know I'm 2 episodes in for sure. I know he has a jail fight scene which is super gory, or at least
oh
super bloody.
yes,
Um,
yes, it
I've
is.
seen like a 10-second clip of that, so I know that's coming. Um,
I don't think it's spoiling it too badly or spoiling it at all. The Punisher you saw 12 years ago with Thomas Jane, that origin story is not how they make the Punisher in 2016.
okay.
He's still gonna be, oh, well, we all think he's dead. Like they all think he's dead. Like obviously they thought Frank Castle was dead, but he went to his own funeral and revealed himself to the FBI. Like I'm not dead, and then he went on this vigilante mission. But at the end of the movie says on that bridge, I think it was even the Golden Gate Bridge. It looked like, people will come to know me as the Punisher. Frank Castle is dead,
Hmm.
but you already made yourself known to law enforcement like
Yeah.
2 hours earlier in the movie. It doesn't follow that route, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
It does
That
it
works.
a little weirder, but a little different. Just get to the end. It'll make it. I promise you, it'll make sense at the end.
Yeah.
There are
And
parts of
I've been.
there are parts of that season 2 where you're like, the Punisher's a pussy. Oh, it will make sense at the end. Just you got to see it through the tough times.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been meaning to continue to watch it, but yeah,
I've just had the time, so I binge watched like all 13 episodes in like 2 days. And
gotcha.
the Jessica Jones crossover is coming. I know the Nick Cage show.
Nick Cage starts in September, or is supposed to air in September.
Yes, that's
Um,
that's the spinoff of Jessica Jones.
yeah, and then there's going to be a spin-off from Luke Cage, the Iron Fist series.
I keep saying Nick Cage. I'm sorry, it's Luke Cage. My bad.
Oh God, if they get Nick Cage in a Marvel series, just kill me.
Oh, wait,
Oh.
so you haven't seen the video of the top 10 canceled superhero movies, have you, on YouTube?
Well, I know he
Gonna be
was originally supposed to be a Superman.
Yes, 1994 he was supposed to be Superman.
And Brainiac was supposed to be the main.
They had a
They made a documentary about it,
they
and
had a
apparently
suit
it's like,
and everything. He had costume
yeah,
plays with his character, all with the hair and the suit and everything. That's how close they got to ruining Superman. They
yeah.
probably had a script for it too.
Oh yeah, and I heard Brainiac was supposed to be the main villain.
Yep.
But yeah, they made a documentary about it, and apparently it's really good.
Scarecrow was supposed to be the villain in the 1999 Batman movie that would have starred. Oh God, I can't think of his name right now.
Was that the Val Kilmer?
No, it was
Batman
gonna be.
Forever?
Oh Jesus Christ! Help me out here. It was the Batman and Robin, George Clooney. Yeah.
George Clooney.
That movie,
huh.
the George Clooney movie, was so bad they canceled the 1999 movie. That would have been Scarecrow would have been the bad guy. So they pushed it all the way to 2005, essentially. So Christian Bale got his start because George Clooney was that bad.
Oh, it was. Honestly, like I could see George Clooney, or not. I can see him as Batman, but like his portrayal of Batman, like it wasn't good.
No.
But
You gotta have a strong Bruce Wayne to have a strong Batman, because Michael Keaton was a strong Bruce Wayne, that dark, brooding character, so it made for a good Batman. Val Kilmer was okay, so it was an okay Batman. Christian Bale was a very good Bruce Wayne, like that playboy with lots of money and flashy cars.
Yeah, falling asleep during business meetings.
Yeah, exactly. Very good Batman. Ben Affleck is a very good Bruce Wayne. I like his Batman. I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, I expected him to suck, because I crapped all over it when I first heard Ben Affleck was Batman.
I'm not a Ben Affleck fan, and I thought he did pretty
Neither
good.
am I. I am probably one of the bigger Ben Affleck haters on planet Earth. But you know what? He took the role, and he hit it out of the park. Home run. Thank you, sir. Because Christian Bale said, I'm done as Batman. And then they went and cast Ben Affleck, and then when he heard about the Justice League, Christian Bale's like, I want to be Batman again.
He's like, wait, what about me?
Like,
what about me?
Sorry, we have stage photos, we have a guy. You're out of the picture.
Yeah.
Well, that's that.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about? I mean, before we go ahead and close it out?
We're going to have many more superhero talks on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we'll mention the countdown every week.
There's a lot of things I want to talk about DC related. We'll get there. We'll get there, people.
We'll get there. All right. Well, is that going to be it?
We plan on this podcast going many, many, many episodes into the future, so there will be time. There will be time.
Hopefully we're still around when 2020 comes around. And
I just want to know what those 3 unnamed Marvel movies are.
Oh, I'm sure they'll.
I wanna kidnap Kevin Feige and hold him at gunpoint. Tell me, damn it, what are these movies gonna be?
Honestly, he could just make something up, and then you'd be like, okay, go.
He could say the 4th Hulk movie or the 3rd Hulk movie. He could say
it's Squirrel Girl. It's.
He could say it's a Rocket Raccoon spinoff, and I would be like, oh, that's cool. Rocket Raccoon and Groot, cool. I'm cool with that.
All right, have fun.
But no, I'm all wrestlinged out for now.
Yeah.
Where can they find you and us on social media?
All right, good segue. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow us at JJ Wrestling Show. Go like our Facebook page, Joey and James Wrestling Super Show Podcast.
What is going on the Facebook page? Because I am not a patron of Facebook. I do not know what's going on there.
I've mainly been keeping up with it. I posted when we gave our, or at least I think I did. I've posted some pictures. I think I posted the result, or not the results, but our predictions for Mania.
Cool. Okay.
Stuff like that. But yeah, you just see more of that. Follow us on Instagram at JJ Wrestling Super Show. Kind of the same thing. I've mainly just been posting random pictures. I posted the pictures of me and all the wrestlers I met at the Ring of Honor tapings back in February. So you can check those out there. We do upload on iTunes and Podbean. So if you don't have an iPhone, you can go download the Podbean app.
Shame on you for not having an iPhone.
Yeah. But we also do upload to YouTube. You can find our channel. It's JandJ Wrestling Super Show. It's JandJ. So please rate, subscribe, share, tweet, favorite, like, retweet, quote tweet, whatever you want. Just share it. We appreciate it greatly. Where can they find you on social media, James?
I don't have anything creative this week. I was trying to think of something off the top of my head. It's at James Tingstrom. Go like and follow and interact.
All right. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at SpaceJamIsMyJam. So please follow us on there if you want more of this sweet, sweet goodness. If you want to send us any emails, hate mail, suggestions, show reviews, whatever you want to do, you can email us at jandjwrestlingsupershow@gmail.com, and that's JANDJ. Well, folks, that's going to be it for this podcast. Come back this weekend when we talk about everything that happened in this wonderful world of wrestling. We're going to talk about Raw, NXT, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, possibly some other stuff going on. We are going to be recording a little bit early this week, mainly because I'm going out of town this weekend.
Same here.
Yeah, and then I won't be back until Sunday night, and then James, you're going out of town early next week.
I'm going out of town Sunday night before you even get back, and I won't be back until Wednesday, so.
Yeah, so we're going to record on Thursday night. I'll probably just, I may upload it that night. I may wait until Sunday night whenever I get back. I'm not too sure. I'll probably figure it out whenever.
No hurry.
Yeah. So yeah, until next time.
Too sweet me, bro, and hit the Bucks music.
Alrighty. Y'all have a good week.
Out.